This is FanSpeak, a weekly live show where the fans of comics and its community are our guests. All right, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome. We have got ourselves a very interesting show going on today, and we're looking forward to all these guests we have. We're going to get to them right here in a minute. My name is Chester C. Busby III, and today on FanSpeak, we're going to be talking about Comicsgate in general and what's going on. But before we get to that, just some updates. Please keep in mind about our art contest, which we got going on. This running until October 30th. And then on the 31st, on our Halloween special, we're going to go ahead and choose the winner of that with a straw poll here in the chat, so you guys can come be part of that. And we're going to have the best FanSpeak logo and mascot be chosen. So if you want to get involved in that, please go to FanSpeak Facebook group. The link is just right there down below, and put in your submission for a FanSpeak logo and mascot or mascot. You can do either. And we already got some submissions. It's looking really cool, and we're excited about it. And of course, the prize is we are going to be taking out a full page ad in an alternate comic, and the FanSpeak logo and mascot will be featured. So you will actually be able to have your art in a comic book. It's very exciting, and we think it's very cool. So don't miss out and get involved in that. Still got some time left. So we're really looking forward to seeing all the cool things that are be coming. Also, don't forget that on the FanSpeak Facebook, we also want to hear from you. We want to hear your reviews. We want to hear what's your favorite comic book. What do you think about the news? Anything you have to say, come over there and talk to us. And we are definitely will interact with you and get involved with what you're saying. And of course, mainly we want to be able to get you on the show, right? That's the main thing purpose here. So make sure you go down and join. You can also go to my Facebook at Chester C. Busby III, and you can say, Chester, put me on the show, and Chester will do so. All right. Don't forget that we are doing podcasts on Anchor right now. We're basically doing our interview ones, and today we're going to put this one up as well. So to go over and check that out, and of course, if you use podcast of any kind, you will be able to use that because Anchor actually spreads out to all the other podcasts. It's really great service to use. Thank you very much, Pixel. And mentioning Pixel Trader, who had suggested we do that, he is the creator of IndieCron, and IndieCron, of course, is a sponsor of FanSpeak, and we're very, very happy to be part of that. And thank you very much, Pixel, for helping us out and being part of all we do. You are invaluable, sir. Don't forget that with the other shows we got going on, of course, on Tuesday, we are going to be doing Bugbear's Basement, which we're going to talk about a little bit here in a moment after we introduce everyone. So I'll come back to that. And we also do with me emceeing, and we're going to be doing something that will allow us to have these on the channel. We do the drawn and quartered fan editions as well, which are really great, and they happen on Wednesday at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. Last little point we're going to make is this. Down below, we have Streamlabs link, and we're using Streamlabs to give you that great intro we just came out with, and a whole bunch of little things we'll be able to do. Now, the thing Streamlabs also lets us do is to take donations and get money. Now, we're not monetizing this channel through YouTube. We're not setting up super chats or any of that kind of thing. But if you do want to donate, we'd be happy to accept that, because what we want to do is use any money we get to have giveaways. We would love to be able to give away comics or statues or anything comic book related or even nerddom related. We'd love to be able to do that. So if you guys are interested in supporting that, then we'll do that. If not, then that's fine. This is a fan hobby site where we have a lot of fun talking about comics, talking about people who make comics. This is not a place to make where we're trying to make a profit. But if you guys like the idea of us having giveaways, then go ahead and get involved. And I think that would be really cool. And we can have that conversation. Well, enough of that. Let's move on and talk to our guest. Now, of course, the first person I'm going to introduce needs no introduction. He is our pie expert from New Zealand. How you doing, Booster? Yeah, excellent. So, is there any interesting news from New Zealand, or is it just all pie centric? Yes, you have booze, and you said you were walking down the street of your town looking like a bogan with a bottle of booze in your pocket. That was no brown bag or nothing. Oh my. That's today. Booster walking down the street with a bottle of booze. Would you like to tell us what your bottle of booze is? It's probably going to wreck me. All right. Well, let's see how that goes. All right. Yeah, Booster is mute. I don't know why. Uh, I can hear you just fine. Let me come back over here and check real quick. Make we sh It shouldn't be. We should have everything running smoothly. Let me check the properties just to make sure. Okay, that's nice of you. Thank you. All right. No, no problem. Let's just check it. Are you guys in the stream? You're hearing me, obviously. Can you hear everybody else? Yeah, I'm talking about the people in chat. Can you hear the other people speaking? Let us know, guys. Yeah. Yeah. It's just me. So it's reversed itself. It went reverse itself. All right, let's try a little thing here. No, we are doing some new stuff here, so we are learning. So let's go ahead and let's try this and see if that helps. You guys go ahead and talk. All right. No, no, that doesn't want to work. All right, let's come.
Muted myself to get a little talking out there as well.
All right,
This
go
is
ahead
what
and speak.
happens when you
There
let
we go.
boomers run the.
It's working now. I'm pretty sure they can hear you guys fine. All right, let's go back over and check with the chat. Sorry about that, guys. Only me, just me. But I think you can hear him now. You guys go ahead and let's introduce Denali. Denali, how you doing, man? Go ahead and talk to the folks so they can see if they can hear you.
All right. Okay. Hey, gang. How you doing? Aloha. We're going to have a great show tonight.
Yeah, no, it's fixed. It's no problem, guys.
Okay,
All
more
right.
importantly, am I fixed?
Well, we're going to come back to you. We're going to ask you similar questions, so I hope you remember and hope that alcohol hasn't gone to your head yet. So, hello, Booster. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, even.
So, tell us how it is. How's it going down there in New Zealand? Is it a nice day? Is it a bad day? Is it a alcohol raining day? What's going on?
It is beautiful and full of alcohol. That's the summary of today.
Well, that's what we want to hear, right? So yeah, you said earlier you had gone down the store and you were walking down the street with a bottle, not in a brown bag, of some manner of booze. Now, what kind of booze are you walking around with?
Just Barrel 51 bourbon, Coke, 7%ers, little cans. So yeah.
Little cans, and how badly is that going to smash you today?
We'll find out in the stream today.
Well, I heard that this episode is one of the worst ones, so.
Oh, you did. Well, thank you. Okay. So let's go ahead and move on down that line. So let's come back to you, Denali, and give you a proper introduction. Hello, sir.
Hello, Chester. Hello, gang. Aloha. Let's make this show awesome.
All right. Thank you very much. And of course, we have our very own Pixel Trader. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty well, man. Good to be here.
All right. And we have the amazing Pope Fire, of course. Welcome.
Greetings.
Yay!
So are you ready to enjoy your Pope Wars as you guys usually do down in the chats and intimidate everyone else who's involved?
I'm enjoying my last, what is it, hour of soberness, because I am not looking forward to Titans episode 2.
So you guys are still doing the Drunk Titans viewing, huh?
Every week.
Every week, yeah.
Guys, that is going to kill you. just to let you know. But we actually will be talking about the Titan show today and some news, so I hope you enjoy that.
Mhm.
All right. Now,
Oh
now
boy.
that's our normal crew. You guys have all seen before. Of course, we'll get to DeWolf, but we'll get to him when he does his address. But we have a few guests here. Now, first, we have a new fan guest sitting down with us, and we're very happy to have you here. Everyone, please say hello to Paul. So, Paul, why don't you talk to the people and tell them a little bit about yourself, man?
Well, I'm the most vile creation there is. I am a conservative, white, Christian, straight male.
Oh, my.
How dare you?
All right. Now, we ask
it's
for
like
all the new guests that
Oh,
we have in here, Paul. We always ask the same questions. The question, you're a fan, just like we are, over here talking
I'm a
about
fan.
comics, the things we love. So the question for you is the same one we ask everyone. What brought you to Comicsgate, man?
Jeez, it's the same story everybody else has. I'm like James. I've been a Marvel guy for a long time, and he's the one who got me into comics in the early '90s. We've been friends for a long time, and and I've been an Iron Man fan. I've been a Spider-Man fan. I mean, it's all of that, and the writing just changed, and the message changed, and it went total south. And it's like I feel like everything I've grown up enjoying has just been infected by of leftism, and I feel like I can't enjoy what I used to enjoy, and Comicsgate has given a voice to people with my opinion, you know.
Yeah, no, it has, and of course that those extreme progressive thoughts are really what's causing the trouble, right? And we talk about that all the time. And we're really happy to have you here, Paul. So please enjoy, and we're going to have a lot of questions for you and interaction. So enjoy the show today. All right, let's move on to our next guest. Now, the next guest is a fan guest as well, but he is also a creator, and he has an Indiegogo going on that we will talk about in the Indiegogo section. But for the rest of the time, he's going to join us as a fan and give his opinion. So, hello, Jake. How you doing?
I am not bad. And just to note, me and Paul went to the same high school, and we've been friends for a long ass time, even though I haven't talked to him like this in person in probably about 20 years. 20, wow. Yeah.
Okay, so
22 years. So
you're
yeah.
not a young fellow either. It's nice that we have some old people around here to protect us from these youngins. Uh, so, all right, Jake. Well, the same question I gave to Paul, I give to you, sir. What brought you to Comicsgate, man? What brought you over to this community, man?
I had a falling out with comic books, which is weird because I go to a comic book college, but basically I was like, I thought, well, I'll do my own indie books and maybe people will like them. But then, the whole diversity in comics thing happened, and I started listening to his videos while I draw, and he's hilarious as heck. And so I kind of, then Comicsgate kind of started soon after I started listening to DNC. And so it was just a matter of sliding into that, I guess.
Oh, all right, excellent. And it is interesting to hear that you actually work in the industry, and at least at the school you're going to. And we will talk about that a little bit more later. And I think this will be a very interesting subject. But before we get to our other guests that we have here in a minute, please do us a favor. Everybody that's down in the chat and everyone that's up here in the stream as well with us, guys, make sure you go down and right below the video on YouTube, you go to see a share button. Please share out to your communities. Let everyone know what's going on. We are really happy to get in here. We want to talk to everyone. We want to have questions. We want to interact. So help us out. We really appreciate everyone that comes over here and joins us. And just keep in mind, we are a community. We're trying to grow this. We're trying to be something that actually helps this indie revival that's going on. So help us out by hitting that share button and sharing it to your community, please. All right, let's go move on to our last person we have up here on this panel, which is quite large today. We will have someone joining. Paul, your mic is having problems, by the way. So maybe you can try to adjust that. But
I had it muted for a minute.
Oh, you did. Well, the muting was causing buzzing. That's interesting. All right. Well, let's go to our last person up here on the panel, and of course, many of you will probably recognize him. We have Erik Litovsky. Now, Erik is very involved in the community, and of course, a lot of us know him because, well, excuse me, Erik, you are a protege of Mike Miller, yeah?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. And why don't you tell us a little bit of how that happened, man?
Sure. So let's see, back in 2006-ish, 2005, 2006, I got married here in California, and my wife was from California. I'm from New Jersey. And so we moved in La Mesa, and Mike and Brett Berner at the time were starting Lamppost Publications, and they were literally like down the street from where we were living at the time. And so I stopped in there, showed Mike my portfolio, and, you know, had a very strong, 90s kind of influence and everything. And Mike saw that I needed some help because I drew too much like Jim Lee. So he accepted that challenge and wanted me to form him in his own image. And, took me under his wing and just started a friendship there. And, he became like a mentor. And and that's how I kind of got my first work on Hand of the Morning Star, which was like a Christian kind of graphic novel around 2006, 2007. And we've been friends ever since.
Oh, excellent. That's a cool little story. Of course, I didn't really know that drawing like Mike Miller was a problem. Drawing like Jim Lee was a problem. I would think that would be a benefit. But hey, what do I know?
Just don't ask Mike Miller.
Yeah, I guess Mike, doesn't care for that. That's very cool. And we're going to talk to you more about your career and stuff here in a minute, and the things that you have going on. But before we get to that, we want to talk about what you and Popefire got going on. Of course, we over here at FanSpeak are absolutely supporting this 100%. You have the Comics Titan fundraiser, and we're going to be actually having that raffle here on our Halloween show, which is, of course, on October 31st for those who live outside the country and are barbarians and don't know what Halloween is. So why don't you and Pope go ahead and talk to us and tell us about that? And Pope, if you have your camera available, maybe you can show everybody some of the prizes that are available. So go ahead, Erik. Tell us about this fundraiser.
Sure. Yeah, I'll start, and then Pope, you can fill in what I forget. But it was just a wonderful idea that Popefire had, a way to get Comicsgate books in the hands of people who can't afford it. They're going through a hard time. I think of college kids. College kids don't have a lot of money, and so we want to help them out. We want to help anybody that's just going through a hard time financially. If they have a family or whatever. So she wanted to start like a way for people to donate. And then also for people to, write in and say, hey, I'm going through a hard time and they need help. So we started Comics Titans fundraiser, and Popefire started the Facebook page. I'm handling the financial aspect. I set up the PayPal, and when people donate, they donate to a PayPal page that I set up. And then she has a team set up that will, kind of go over each entry and, just make sure they're legit, make sure that they really do need help. We don't want to waste money. We don't want to kind of get, people abusing it. So she'll let me know, like, hey, this guy needs something, and I'll go purchase it. And then I always post on the Facebook page when I do go purchase something, just so everybody knows what we're doing. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Fire.
Yeah, so pretty much Erik does all the hard work, and I get to take all the credit. No, it was mostly there because, when I did because I have modded for several different groups, there were people that needed like certain books, and I was like, I would help them, but then I realized that there were more people than I could help. And I know comic books won't solve everything, but if we can help make somebody's day better, then I think it's worth it. Now I am very thankful because we just got 2 forms in last morning at like 5 a.m. And nice. I've only had time to go over one of them, but the more people that reach out to help us, or the more people that reach out to get help, it's really a blessing, and I'm really thankful that Erik was able to help. I asked several different people in the community. Edwin was the big one that kind of was like, yeah, you really need to go for Erik, and I was like, okay, yeah, but Erik is definitely like a blessing from God here, because he has been very, very helpful, and he does do a lot of the hard work for me. Yeah. Any questions? And the raffle tickets are one for $3 and two for $5. You kind of caught me off guard.
Oh, well, you're doing the fundraiser. You should be ready to sell it anytime you can. And I think it's a really good thing you guys are doing. It sounds like a lot of fun, and it's a community effort, and it's a community event, which are always fun things to do. So you guys got any other points you want to make on that, other than the fact that it is taking place on October 31st on our Halloween show right here at FanSpeak?
Yes, apparently there was some confusion. The raffle prizes will be sent out as soon as possible. The raffle itself, we're going to try and do every 6 months, but the prizes will be sent out as soon as possible. And all the prizes and all the shipping on that is coming out of my pocket. The fundraiser does not have anything to do with the prizes. Like, none of that money touches the prizes and stuff. So, just clearing that up, because apparently there was some confusion on that yesterday.
Yeah, okay, but you do realize I don't think any of us here would have a problem with you paying for shipping out of the raffle. I mean, that's part of the cost, right? That's not an issue at all, actually.
I want it to be, I want all the money to sort of to go to the comic stuff.
Okay.
I don't feel comfortable taking money even for stuff like shipping.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for talking about the fundraiser and this charity raffle. I think it's a great idea. So let's go ahead and before we get into our talking to Erik about his career and the news and all the other things we have going on today, let's go ahead and let's hear from our very own chairman of the board, Mr. DeWolf. Sir?
Is a constant buzz, panel, guests, chat, audience. It is a constant buzz around all the live stream and all the chats over several weeks, in which we keep hearing about having a Comicsgate company, have more people coming together, possibly even crossovers. We want it new things, products and available to buy, and we want all these things possibly coming under different names. We want different Comicsgate names, new concepts, distribution models, all these, so the comics can come together and we can find them easier, and the creators can come together and have them available to get more fans to them as well. But I remind you, you have no comic book in your hand. Unless you have Jawbreakers or possibly the Bull, you're still not holding anything. This, I remind you though, this is not still a flash in the pan. This is a good thing. This isn't some fly-by-night organization. You have already decided, I'm willing to put money down and I'm willing to wait. That is important. What that breeds within us all is a sense of longevity. We've already said we're in it for the long haul. And I want you to continue with that mindset, because as we move forward, we're going to slowly get there. Have patience. The creators are working hard. It's going to take 4 or 5 months sometimes. We've already said that's okay. If it takes them a year or 5 years for them to create these additional products or get distribution to us, though we want it faster, we are going to get there. And in the years to come, 10 years from now, maybe more, you'll be able to say, I was there. I was part of Comicsgate. We were Comicsgate during the comics revival. But of course, that's just what I'm saying. What are the fans saying? Welcome to Comicsgate. Welcome to FanSpeak, part of Comicsgate.
All right, thank you very much, DeWolf. That's very true and very interesting. We're all waiting for stuff, but we're also very excited. Hey, Booster, you there, Booster? I hope you haven't been drinking too much. Yeah. Okay, great.
I am not drinking yet. I'm saving it all for the stream, mate. Later.
You are? Well, okay, that's good. That's good. I just what I wanted to mention to you was that's how you wear a tie, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yes, that's how you do that. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
See, red, white, and blue.
Is that a microaggression just now?
I think so. That's America. Yeah, Paul, your mic is having trouble again. I don't know if you muted it or what, but yeah, okay, there you go. All right, yeah, all right, guys. Now, thank you very much. We've had all our introductions. We've seen everybody. So now we're going to go ahead and start talking about some of the subjects we have today. But before we get into that, we want to take some time with Erik Litovsky, who has joined us, and get some questions from him from the panel up here, and just learn a little bit more about Erik. I know that I personally have really enjoyed his art, so I want to learn more about the man himself. So. Let's go ahead and start asking some questions to Erik as our, pro guest. Let's go ahead and start with Denali. Denali, you got some questions for Erik about his career and things he's got going on?
Yeah, I mean, Erik, are you working on any current projects, any comic books that will be coming in the future? The present moment, something that we're looking forward to, maybe an Indiegogo project.
Yeah, currently I'm working on a project with a guy. He has some connections with, people in the industry, like I think Aspen Comics and IDW. And he's self-financing this project that he's working on. He does a lot of movie kind of stuff, movie production, music video kind of production. But he's a creator as well, and he wants to do his own stuff. So I met up with him through a guy at a convention, and he liked what I had. He liked, how I told stories and my sequential art. So he said, let's do it. And so I've been working on that. It's going to be, I have to do 4 issues. I finished 1 recently, so I have 3 more to go. And then, so my plan is after that is done, at the end of the year, reevaluate where I'm at, how many, fans I have on YouTube and everything. And then, consider doing my own Indiegogo and launching Shadow Sentry.
Oh, nice. And do you have a announcement for when that project that you're working on is going to be, maybe in January or March?
Yeah, so as soon as it's done, I signed an NDA, and there's not much I could say about it right now. So it's kind of hush hush, one of those things. But as soon as it's done, I should have the green light to start. I could post images, I could talk about it, and then he has to find who's going to publish it and things like that. And so as soon as I know more, I could share that too, and when it'll be in your hands.
Cool deal.
Yeah,
cool beans. Yeah. So, turn it back to you, Chester.
Chester.
Whoa, we lost Chester.
Oh god. All right.
Oh no.
Well, lads, it's my time now. I'm running FanSpeak.
Oh,
There's
no.
going to be a lot of changes around here.
Oh no.
So I have a question. When is Lord coming out with a new Pie song? Since that's the big thing over where you're at.
Never. Lord is overrated, and she is banned from making music in my perfect New Zealand utopia.
All right. Well,
But-
now that I am back, it's always interesting with these technical difficulties happening. I certainly can't let no booster take over anything.
Oh. Master, I was not trying to do anything, I swear. I was just merely keeping your throne warm while you were gone.
Thank you. Thank you. Rest in peace, Chester James says. I am not resting in peace. Yeah, this Streamlabs thing acts up a little bit, but I do prefer it, and we're going to iron this out, and it's going to be perfect. I promise. And it's really cool, the things we can do. But anyway, thank you very much, Denali. So now, Erik, I know you can't actually talk about that or showing us any kind of images from that, but just for the people over in the chat, if you have any art that you can share, you can share it right here on the Hangouts. You go up to the share screen and you can show us some of your art, and I'll click on white box you and let them see that while we continue this discussion.
Hey, have you seen Erik Litovsky's new website? I believe he redesigned it.
Well, okay, good question. Did you have a website that you have redesigned, Erik?
Sort of. I did change the format a little bit, but I'd say that was about, a good year and a half ago. So, but recently, no, I haven't done anything to it differently.
So Erik actually has one of the best shops in Comicsgate. Everybody, his is really easy to find stuff on.
Oh, excellent. So,
and I would know because I like to shop for print all the time.
Well, great then, Popefire. Why don't you do us a favor, go over and get that link and drop it down in the chat so we can people can take a look at it, please. All right.
Okay,
so
Dad.
let's go over to one of our fan guests that we have here today. And Paul,
Uh-oh.
we have Erik Litovsky with us. He's an amazing artist, and hopefully Erik will be able to share some art with us so you guys can see that. But Paul, why don't you go ahead? You got a question you'd like to ask Erik about being a professional, or some of his career, art, things he's done, anything like that?
You know, I confess that before Comicsgate, I really have no idea who he is. So I'm learning about him through you guys, and I love that he's partnered with Kenzie in this project that they're doing together. And I'm eager to see his art and see what he's doing, and maybe someone could tell me what he's done in the past. Should I know about it?
Well, let's ask him. Let's see what he's done in the past. But I do, just to comment on what you said. Yeah, there's a lot of that. That's the cool thing about being involved in this indie revival that's going on. We have met all kind of new writers I've never heard of, and a lot of great artists. You got Erik, who's an amazing artist, so you can see his work on the Drawn and Quartered fan edition. Excuse me, Drawn and Quartered Pro edition. What am I talking about? Quite amazing. And we've also met Kanan White, and we've seen several other new people. Like we're right now on the screen, you have Jake, who has an Indiegogo coming up or ongoing that we're going to talk about, and he's drawing for us right now. It's really cool to meet all these new artists. So Erik, why don't you tell us what projects have you worked on?
Sure. I mentioned one series I did called Hand of the Morning Star that came out around 2006, 2007, and that was a Christian superhero kind of book, and it probably would have only come out through Christian bookstores. I'm sure you can find it online, but yeah, that was a very lengthy story. The books were 150 pages each, and there was 8 volumes. And so Mike Miller did the first 2 volumes, and then I did the rest of the series. So that was my first published work. And then after that, I did Monomyth with Awesome Comics, spelled OSSM. Omar Spivey was the he's like the publisher, and Seek Donnelly, he wrote it. That was a 3-issue series that I did. Let's see. I also did, actually, if any of you guys have kids or teenagers, I did if you know the Mighty Med XD it's Disney XD. It's called Mighty Med. I did the comic book introduction to that. So that was a really cool project. And then after that, I did, let's see. I finished up doing the Meg with Mike Miller. He penciled and inked that, and I did all the background inks for him on the Meg adaptation recently.
Yeah, that looked good, actually.
Yeah. So, and I think that's it that I can think of.
Oh, excellent. So you're definitely an up-and-comer. Like I said, if you guys want to see Erik's art, just go check out the Drawn and Quartered Pro Edition, which is on Mike Miller's channel, Blacklist Universe. Some really great work, impressive stuff. I'm actually impressed on how much you can get done in 2 hours, personally. Right. Let me come over here to Jake. Jake
That's crazy.
It is, yeah. Jake is a fellow artist, and I'm going to go ahead and white box Jake so you guys can see his what he's working on. I think he's working on his a beat down girl thing here. What are you working on, Jake?
Yeah, I was doing a beatdown girl thing. I would have done Starfire but I thought of it, but I didn't. And so I'm doing beatdown girl. But I thought I'd go ahead and show you my latest pages I just did of beatdown girl here.
Ooh,
so
look at that. That is nice.
Yep. So I'm doing this. This is like page 20, and this is page 22. I make my own zipatone too. So
I have no idea what a zipatone is. Erik probably does.
It's the sticker that's a bunch of dots that makes it look gray here.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean,
but it looks really good.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Mark Schultz, and I want to be, I want to draw like Mark Schultz someday. So.
Oh, excellent. Well, why don't you go ahead, Jake, and ask your fellow artist a question? Can you hear me, Jake?
Hello? Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, go ahead, and why don't you ask Erik a question? I mean, he's an artist like you, and he's go ahead and ask him a question, man.
Okay. yeah, I guess I have obviously some issues here with characters not being too dynamic. That's stuff that's come up in class. But yeah, I guess my favorite thing is, gosh, what to ask a pro. Who's your favorite artist?
There you go. Good question.
Yeah. Number one, big fan of Jim Lee. Got into comics in the 90s, and his artwork just popped off the shelves to me personally. You know, just cruising. What's that?
I agree.
Yeah, just cruising around the comic shop. You know, I saw Wildcats #1 and books like Death Blow, and it was just like I couldn't find anything quite like it, and it blew me away. And so I picked up everything I could, Jim Lee, and yeah, so naturally I just kind of mimicked his style, and I wanted to choose, in my mind, the best artists I could, and try and draw like them. So that was Jim Lee for me, and eventually, you know, got into other artists like Mark Silvestri and, you know, J. Scott Campbell. And then now as I'm older, I'm kind of looking back towards the older artists and stuff. So, but yeah, always been a big fan of Jim Lee. Big inspiration.
That's interesting. Yeah, I know I'm supposed to say that Ethan Van Sciver is my favorite artist, but Jim Lee actually is. But you know, actually, we've seen some. But the thing is, we've seen some great artists come out just from this. Like we're talking about with Erik here, is an incredible artist, and you know, Kanan White is another one we mentioned. John Dillard, some just incredible artists I never heard of. So it's just exciting. This looks like some very busty Pope Fire.
Yeah, it's a Pope Fire image for Kenzie here. And
Well,
it's
you should have
99%
seen the first
done.
design.
So
The first design,
yeah.
more so.
Yeah, he went with New 52.
I see.
Even more skin.
So this is toned down.
It went
is it?
all,
I see.
oh, I don't want that, and ruined it.
Okay, very interesting. Cool. All right. Well, as you guys might have noticed, that Mr. Thundaro, the mighty wrench of Ethan Van Sciver, is here, and I do apologize for saying Ethan isn't my favorite artist. Sorry about that, Thundaro. Please don't hurt me.
Oh, I'm not going to hurt you.
Okay, but welcome, sir. We're always glad to have you with us. So we have Erik Litovsky with us, man. Why don't you go ahead and ask him a question?
Hello, Erik. How are you today?
Good, man. How are you?
Pretty good. My question is pretty much usually always from outside of the comic industry. I like to get a feel for where people are like where they see the culture and everything going. Because to me, this whole thing is bigger than just comics. It is part of the culture war, quote unquote. So my question is the same I've been asking every one of the pros lately. Where do you think this is all going? We have one side of the divide, if you want to call it that, that is very censorious. They want to destroy anything that doesn't fit their worldview. They're bigots, basically. The other side is kind of more like, whatever to that. Where do you think this is going? Do you think we're going to ever bridge this divide, or is it just going to keep getting worse?
I certainly hope so. I hope there's, you know, not a middle ground, but, you know, I think the fringes of, you know, the political movements are just kind of going nuts. And yeah, I hope they calm down before, you know, it gets too crazy. But yeah, I do trust our system. You know, I trust, you know, police, etc. And I think, you know, at some point, I think they're going to shoot themselves in the foot. And I think that's kind of happening right now, where America is just seeing the fringes just go crazy, and it's like, okay, they're nuts, they're crazy, let's ignore them. So hopefully we'll just be able to do that without anything crazy happening. That's my take.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully you're right. I'm starting to think less and less that that's likely, though, especially with this election coming up. I don't think it's going to go the way they think it's going to go, and I think we're probably heading towards some domestic terrorism, to be honest. I mean, we already had some. It's probably going to get a lot worse.
Wow.
Sadly.
I certainly hope it doesn't go that bad. But we've seen the Antifa stuff, and that is directly connected, and they're certainly destroying stuff. I mean, I guess it's a form of terrorism. So
yeah.
Oh well.
Recently I saw images of what's going on in Portland, and just how I think they're Antifa, and they're just blocking the street.
Yeah.
just belligerent cursing people out, and yeah, just like a step away from getting violent on people who are just innocent bystanders. It's pretty insane.
Yeah.
That's right. That's the Proud Boys and Base Stickman will deal with them. Yeah.
I actually don't think it's going to be that bad because I think we're the side that has the guns. And,
okay.
Yes, but we don't want to use them.
No, we don't want to use them.
Well, we don't need to use them. We just need to have them because they don't have them at all. And then the other thing is also, if it is going to go domestic terrorism, it's going to be more like a Weather Underground, like 12 people making bombs. And,
right.
Whichever side actually starts killing people first, history is going to be the one that judges them the harshest. Like, I mean, once Weather Underground started attacking, I mean, that's when the Beatles started singing that song, "Do You Want a Revolution," which was actually very critical of, if you listen to the whole lyrics of that. So I think we'll have that.
Where we discuss domestic terrorism and guns.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I mean, from the culture war perspective, it's one of those things where, basically, our side has combat training because of the veterans. I'm a veteran. And it's one of those things where, their side, once they start drawing violence, they're going to lose support because people don't tolerate violence. So in general,
well,
Americans don't.
And just a side, I know we don't want to get into that conversation, but just a side point that you guys do know that the founder and one of the main members of Weather Underground, who is absolutely a terrorist, is actually Hillary Clinton's mentor and one of the people that got her going on and started. So,
Oh, yeah.
Just a fun fact for you. All right.
Yeah, and this is very applicable to our upcoming guest. So it's very interesting that we've gone here.
It is. And but let's continue asking questions to Erik here as we're interviewing him and his career. And once again, thank you very much for joining us, Erik. Now, Pope, you have certainly had a lot of interaction with Erik, and he's been very helpful to you, and it's very cool what you're doing, Pope. But why don't you ask a question to Erik that maybe we wouldn't think of?
Well, I mean, I always have to ask my generic question of who your favorite Teen Titan is.
Superboy.
And that one, well, not you.
Who's the gold?
Can I just say I don't have one?
I think that's worse than not answering correctly.
But then I'm kind of neutral.
No, we're gonna need a new treasurer. We can't have this.
All right.
What?
No.
Raven's my favorite Titan. Oh, sorry.
Don't say that.
Yes,
You're
I said Raven.
There you go.
No, but
it's off now. Go ahead.
Oh, she's just so moody. She's like, always like in healthy mode, and she's, a demon, so that makes her way better in Starfire.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this is my edgy Pope mask.
Okay.
When I'm wearing it, I am Pope Edge, so it's okay.
Okay, sweet. All right. So, what is your question for Erik, please, Pope?
My question is, how do you feel about the community, and how do you kind of feel about like interacting with them? And because I know that you, as the person in charge of the money in the fundraiser, that you probably get a little bit more interaction with the community than some of the other pros, especially a bit more of a personal interaction.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great. I've only been part of the Comicsgate community for about, I don't know, maybe 2 months. But yeah, I'm blown away by just the, Comicsgate is like a fan movement, and so yeah, like I've never, as a comic book artist, you never really get that much interaction with your fans unless you're at a convention or something. But this is totally different, and I'm just blown away by the support. Just like it truly is a community, and yeah, so I'm really excited to be a part of it. And then for you guys to have me on and stuff, this is really cool. So I'm excited about that. As far as the interaction with the fundraiser and stuff, I'm just excited to be. I'm glad you had me be a part of it, and people are gonna know, hey, Erik's the one that bought that book for me. That's kind of cool. So I don't know. Yeah, but But yeah, so I'm
I
really
do know that
you gonna
you
buy
are
me
one
a
of
book,
the.
Erik?
What's that?
Are you gonna buy me a book?
Sure, if you go fill out a form and say that you need some help, man.
Wow, where can I do that?
Fundraiser Facebook page.
Comics Titans fundraiser. So we definitely should be having a link come up here in the chat for that. All right, Pope, thank you very much.
I'll fill that out now.
Yes, go fill that out now, Booster. Although you did just go buy a bunch of alcohol walking down your street so everyone could see it, so I don't know how much help you need.
Yeah, true.
True.
He's like, I need comics because I spent it all on booze.
There you
Because
I'm a rich, and it's Titan's
Oh my God! All right. Let me before I continue on having people ask you questions, Erik. I'm going to come over here to the chat, and the chat has got a bunch of their typical things going on, but they are responding to some of the things. And I just want to say hello to Abyssus and Durkin, and of course Pope Raven, and I want to say hello to Sierra Whiskey, sir, my our fellow and proud raccoon protector. Hello, Adrian. How you doing over there? James. Dr. Doom, very nice to have you in here with us, sir. We also have Dave. How you doing, Dave? Dave actually has a point here. He said he actually got into Comicsgate by watching Antifa and Berkeley videos when Captain Comics showed them in his showed up in his recommendations. Yeah, so I saw those through him as well, but I was watching other stuff. But yeah, Captain Comics, you did used to talk about that. All right, we of course we have Beowulf, our very own Wrench, who is out there and amongst you and moderating and gathering questions. So if you guys do have questions, direct them to our Beowulf, and he will make sure that we know what's going on. But we are also trying to pay attention. All right.
yeah, and there's a couple comments as well.
Go
Where
ahead,
JMatt, well, one of our moderators, JMatt, says he got Black and Red yesterday, so that's in fulfillment.
Sweet.
And yes, not to forget about Nasser Stardust. I did get that one and did put in a light review for it. I'm still waiting for Ironsight, but a lot of people have been posting on Twitter that Ironsight has come. So we are getting slowly those books. They just have to learn that, they actually need fulfillment centers to get these timely, and they can't do it themselves. So that's something they're all learning. And Ethan learned when he saw 9,000 books, almost 10,000 copies that he has to fulfill, draw, and do all that. He definitely needed a fulfillment. So I think that's something all the other creators are learning, that they have to have that fulfillment.
Yes.
Center and services.
And that is something we talked about before, and we should talk about again, by the way. Yeah. Any other comments you saw, Janelle, you want to mention? No? Okay. Well, we also welcome to the Homeless Liberal has joined us again. Thank you very much. We have DC Fans United. Excellent. Let's see. Go up here a little bit further. Try to make sure I can mention everyone in here. Jordan. How you doing, sir? Model 3. Welcome. Devilish Boredom. That sounds fun. Chad Middleton, thank you. I know you come over from Cross Comics. Nice to see you, sir. All right. Well, I think I've got everyone that's in the chat. So welcome, everybody, and everybody else who's listening. Thank you very much for being with us. And remember, if you do have questions, just go ahead and ask them. And Sierra Whiskey does want us to know that he's happy to be here, and raccoons will inherit the earth, sir. That is all. All right. Thank you, Sierra. All right.
Adrian also said one of the things that drew me to Erik's channel and work was his Inktober drawings of Wildstorm characters. He missed those guys. So got a fan from all your drawings.
Awesome.
Very cool.
All right. Well, let's continue asking questions to Erik here. Now, Booster, you're still sober, right?
I haven't started drinking, mate.
I don't believe
I've told you.
I don't believe you, dude. I'm sure
Oh,
you're
bloody
drinking.
hell.
I can hear the glug glug, man.
I'm not even alcoholic, bro.
Anyway, I'm just joking, man. Go ahead and ask Erik a question, man. And then we're going to finish up our questions with DeWolf, of course.
Yeah. How was your day, Erik?
It was good. It was good. I did get some Inktober sketching in. I finished up Pike, who is a character from Wildcats back in the day. And then I did a cool steampunk, cyberpunk Batman for today's Inktober sketch.
That came out with a better response than I was expecting. Yeah. That was a good question, wasn't it?
It was a good
Yeah.
question. Thank you, Booster. You're very helpful.
Yeah.
All right.
And I also cleaned out my pool, so I'm good.
Oh, you had a productive day even. Bloody hell.
There you go, productive day. Booster has a productive day too. He's going to watch Titans later with Pope, and every time anything cringy happens, they're going to drink.
It's true. I have very productive days. I stream and I drink. That's and I stay in my room as a hermit all day. I call it productive.
Yeah, no, it is productive. Of course, I don't know how you guys can watch an episode of Titans and drink every time something cringy happens and actually be alive the next day. I'm a bit shocked by that.
Dedication.
Yeah, I mean, because
We do it because we must.
all right,
It's the only way to enjoy the show.
I suppose. And how long is that show?
50 minutes. 50 and
And
That's-
it feels
that's what-
longer than that too, because it's such a slow show as well.
So it feels longer. So 50 minutes of constant drinking. Whew. All right. Well,
Yeah, that's why they did it once a week, because they knew people like Pope Fire and Booster would be drinking.
so they were being compassionate. Hey, that's a plus. All right. All right. Let's
sucks
go
so
ahead and let's have our last question for Erik today. Of course, if you guys have other questions, go right ahead. But let's go ahead and get to Mr. DeWolf. What questions do you have here for Erik Litovsky, this wonderful up-and-coming artist? Please ask your question.
Up and coming. Have you seen his portfolio and everything he's got on this
No.
webpage? My
No, but
lord.
because I think his future is way brighter.
What is So I am looking at it, and I'm looking at things with metals and skin, of course, people and everything that goes along with that, clothing included. There's some things with feathers and light and creatures, and all of that is pretty varied. I know some artists, when you look at their portfolio, there's not that wide range of different types of things seen, and there's a lot of and there's things from comics to old cartoons, which you don't see much of, so you really have to use part of, I would think, some of your memory, as well as something to go off of that you're looking at. Video games, well, huge range. So I'm trying to come up with a question. Is there something that you do in your artwork that you don't like, that you struggle with?
That is a good question.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I guess my you could say kind of like my weakness is my strength almost, because I do like Jim Lee. I have that style. So that weakness would be like, oh well, you have to have your own style. You should have your own thing. So yeah, I guess just finding that that my own voice kind of thing, with my artwork, which I'm slowly getting towards. And if you look at some of the Overwatch stuff I've done, that's it doesn't have that Jim Lee kind of flair, but it it's still good artwork. It's still good in its own right. So I mean, and I still love Jim Lee. I want to. And if you look back to the old artists, or even like Jim Lee or Joe Mad, they all started drawing like someone else. They didn't just right off the bat start drawing like Jim Lee 2018. So, they all kind of grow into their own. They kind of find their own voice, their own style. And so, I think that's my biggest thing, is just trying to find that style that's me.
Uh-huh.
And how's that search coming?
It's coming along, with the Inktober sketches. I'm definitely honing my own inner Jim Lee. But when I do some other stuff, it's, I'm trying to limit it a little bit.
Right. And since I personally wouldn't look at a character and say, oh yeah, Erik drew that this way, because you don't have a running, you have all of this media that you're drawing on. So finding your style is difficult then.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. And I got actually another follow-up. Is your last name Polish?
It is. Mm-hmm.
All right. Excellent. In my family, DeWolf is not, but I've got Olbrys and Sobicek. So I've got Polish in my background. So
wow.
I like to connect a little bit there.
Well, Nino
Good.
means strong,
Cool.
so I guess you're a strong person.
Hey, I actually have a decent question this time.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just, I mean, compared to my one, not yours, Tolliver.
Yeah. Let me take that knife out of my bag. It's all right.
Oh, oh.
Eric, I was just wondering if you do actually have any plans for an Indiegogo project, and if not, have you not been snatched up yet?
I do have plans for an Indiegogo. So I have a create your own kind of book that I have, like the story made up. It's called Shadow Sentry, and I'll give you a little pitch real quick. But it's basically, it asks the question if people had a near-death experience, and when they went to the other side, you know, and they were brought back. They brought a piece of that, you know, supernatural, a piece of the other realm, the supernatural realm, with them. And so you have people who have gone to hell, and you have people who have gone to heaven, and they come back with these supernatural powers. And so it sets the stage for a, you know, kind of a battle that is going to start raging on Earth. And you have these two forces that are going to go at it. And it's kind of like an X-Men meets the Matrix, I call it. It's a team book. It'll have some, you know, really cool characters and stuff. And I've done like an intro on my YouTube channel, Divine Fire Studios. You could check it out. And yeah, so it's just, you know, again, I'm a big fan of the 90s, so it's going to have a lot of that influence. And yeah, so if I can, I'd like to launch it next year after I finish this current project I'm on. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. So I'm you know, hoping everything goes well and I could share that and get that going for everybody.
That actually sounds like an awesome idea, man. Are you going to be writing it yourself, or have you gone one of the CG writers?
I will. I'll come up with the plot. I'll probably have some help when it comes to the dialogue and just making sure everything, you know, sounds good when it hits the page. Because, you know, I do like the creative aspect. I'm not a writer, but I'll do my best, and then I'll get some really good people who can review it and give me their ideas and tell me what I need to fix.
Cool.
Good people in the
Cool.
community to help you too.
And Eric, when you're designing characters, what kind of characters do you find most enjoyable to draw? Like, do you like to draw more of the stylized, like superhero-esque, or a character with a lot of personalities? I know that a lot of artists has their own preference of what kind of characters they enjoy, you know, working on. What's your preference on that?
For me, you know, it all kind of starts with just the initial concept, the name of the character, you know, what their power is. And so I kind of build it around their persona, their, you know, more like their personality. And then from there, I'll design their outfit and design, you know, what they look like. But yeah, but I like to kind of just start off with, you know, who they are as a person, and then blend that with what they can do as, you know, their ability, and then kind of go from there, if that answers that for you.
Yeah, I think it does. And we do have a question coming to you from the chat, and this is coming from our very own moderator, Beowulf. And his question is this, Eric. He says, if you could draw one of the Comicsgate books other than your own, the one you just mentioned, which one would you most like to work on?
A really good question. Let me think about it for a second.
All right.
Well, I would say,
which CG creative you want to suck up to the most?
There you go.
Let me think. No, you know, if my first thought was like something like a cyber frog, because that's totally out of my, you know, I don't like drawing creatures so much as humans. So maybe just to like push myself, something like a cyber frog. But I do like being a fan of the 90s and having read Art's Black and White series back in the day. I think that'd be really cool. And I really like, you know, his character concepts, his designs of the characters. And so, you know, that'd probably be my choice, just because it's more in my wheelhouse and I'd be more comfortable with it. But so I'll go with that.
Excellent. All right.
I'll ask a question.
Yeah, please.
So we all of us as fans usually have that one character that we identify with and aspire to. You know, James S. has Doom, Pope Fire has Raven. Oh, wait, never mind.
Mother.
Quasar.
What would yours be? Who would your alter ego be?
Man, one of my favorite characters. I wouldn't say I really connected with him as far as like personality or anything, but I really like Grifter from the Wildcat series back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like that bravado, like I don't care spirit, but is really good with guns, and I really dig him. So I guess I'd go with Grifter.
Cool. Grifter's
Yeah.
Just so you know, Erik, Sierra is saying that he needs an artist around January. I got $10,000 to get started, and my book is about a raccoon and other urban animals versus I can't say it right now. Yeah, I think Sierra has this because his icon is a raccoon. He makes a lot of raccoon jokes, which is funny. But I think he's got this gamma world type of concept going on, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. All right.
Very cool.
Anybody else have any questions for Erik before we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, well, real quick, I just want to advertise some of the stuff he has. The Teen Titans poster back there was the one done by him. Actually have the print one, the free print one giveaway in here. I am terrified to open it. And then you probably can't see it, but that Starfire right there is also one that Erik has done. So Erik is a really good artist, and you guys should definitely check out his shop and definitely enter the raffle because we do have one of his prints for a prize. So, okay.
Excellent.
That was my shameless plugging.
No, Erik is a great artist. Anybody else?
Chester,
All right.
I enjoyed on Art Stream the other day. You kind of gave him some tips and hints for his shop, and so if anybody wants to go to my shop and has any ways to make it better, by all means, please let me know. And I want it to be user friendly and fan friendly. So.
Yeah, well, yeah, and we definitely have the link to your shop coming up here in the chats, but that's just one of the things we talked about amongst ourselves. I don't think I can really take credit for that, but I was just kind of relaying the information from us. But yeah, no, one of the things we like to do here on FanSpeak, which we're going to get into right now, actually, is we want to try to offer solutions for this indie revival that's going on and this Comicsgate community. We want to help the pros. Hey, we're the fans. This is what we think. Here's some free market research for you. Take it and do as you will. And that's just one of the things we notice. I mean, for the most part, these guys all have their little eBay stores or various, Square Up stores or whatever it is, and they're kind of a mess. They're not very professional. And I'm not being mean. I'm just telling you. So if you want to sell better, you should have search features. You should have it better organized. You should have something that allows people to come into your art area and get exactly what they want. Because this is in the end about making money. This is a consumer product, which is one of the big points of over here in Comicsgate. This isn't some socialist utopian concept that the other side, these progressives, seem to think that they want to live in, which they don't. They just don't realize it. This is about capitalism, about making money, and we want the books. You guys make the books, and that's the way it is. So if you want to be more efficient, you should absolutely have a solid shop where people can come and get your stuff.
No, Chester, because I was the one that started in the Discord because I was complaining about art stores. Like I can't find anything.
Yeah.
But no, I think Erik's shop is probably one of the better ones in here. I think him and Mike have the best shops available. So don't worry too much, Erik, because I think yours is pretty good or pretty well set up.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. All right.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
It is a fair point. And March Hare, welcome. Nice to see you here, sir. Once again, we're still waiting for you to come up here and join us. He says there has been some mumblings of late about this. Yes, there have been, because it's difficult for a lot of those shops are really difficult to navigate. You can't find it. You have to spend a lot of time, and you don't want your customer spending a lot of time. You want your customer to be able to get to exactly what they want very quickly.
Yeah, the more time they have to put efforts in finding the art that they're looking for, the less likely you're going to be making that sale. So the easier that you make it, the faster they'll pay for it, the least likely they'll have second thoughts for it. Maybe they can hold off and buy something else cooler that's easier to get.
Yeah. And Sayer Whiskey, I didn't know if he was being serious or not, but I think he actually is serious about that 10 grand. then that's not a bad little piece of change for an artist, I think, to draw out a book. So you might actually want to get in touch with Sierra Whiskey, Eric, and Sierra would be tickled pink too because Eric is an amazing artist. Adrian does have a direct question for you, though, Eric. He says, "What is Eric's personal plan for doing commissions and fulfilling them?" That's the way one of the ways you guys make money. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. The hard thing is, being an artist, and if you're working on something daily, like a comic book or whatever it is, or if you're working on an Indiegogo and you're trying to fulfill books that way, it's hard to balance, your daily work that you have to get done and then doing commissions on the side. And so, I do commissions. And what I'm trying to do, like I'm doing one for Popefire right now. I'm doing another one for a gentleman. And so I try and just fit it in when I can. I don't want to take on too much and then everything starts falling behind. That's my worst fear. So I try and just, take on what I can when I can. And, I would, as fans, if you could just be good about contacting the artists and just saying, every few months or something, just, hey, how's your schedule? Are you a little open to take on something? Because a lot of times people will contact me and it's not a good time and I'm really busy. And then, I want to do something for them, but it's not a good time. So just that communication and just, say, hey, how's things going? And if you could do something for me.
Yeah. Excellent. And getting more and more commissions out, of course, gets people talking more and more about you as well. And March Hare, don't worry about it, man. I'm just playing around. We'd love to sit and talk with you. I enjoy chatting with you. So whenever you're available, sir.
And Eric, what would be your next Comic-Con, or are you going to go into any other conventions around the continental U.S. Or your next appearance? Or you can just be chilling at home for the rest of the year?
I'll be at the LA Comic-Con just around the corner. So we'll be at that one. And I think that's it for this year. Finding a convention towards the end of the year is rough. But I do a lot of conventions. I do get around. The middle of the year is always when the most conventions are. So I'm really busy that time of year. But yeah, so LA will be my next. And I do get around. I've gone to Philly. I've been to Portland. I've been to North Carolina. So I try and get around. But yeah.
No, actually, it's interesting that you asked that question, Denelli, because we brought this up in a FanSpeak a few weeks ago. And that question was, are Comic-Cons or comic book conventions dangerous? Because we've seen a lot of dropouts. The Bright Wizards had to drop out. Ben Hennessy and Chuck Dixon had to drop out. There's been a lot of threats and troubles and difficulties. Have you seen any trouble with that, or you been under that radar?
I've been under the radar. However, I haven't really done too many what's the term, big Comic-Cons since I joined Comicsgate. So honestly, this LA Comic-Con will be kind of a test. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's sad and unfortunate it comes into that, which of course brings us into our next topic. How can you help, as in the people listening and us sitting up here, the fans? How can we help the indie revival that's going on, and in a broader sense, the Comicsgate movement and community? And on this show, FanSpeak, we always try to offer some insight from the fans' point of view that might be useful to the pros. So the thing we want to talk about today is, how can you help? How can you directly get involved? And we talked about a few points before, but before we get into those points, does anybody have anything they want to say about what they think the community as a whole can do to improve, or can do to help each other and help the pros get along? Anyone want to go ahead and start that?
I don't feel like I should touch
Go ahead.
this one.
Go ahead, Jake. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I know quite a bit just from what I've been doing Beatdown Girl. I know about what the costs are in doing this, and you're going to find that when books start to beat that 3,000 book threshold in print runs, that's when the cost to get these things printed drops to about 60 cents an issue. And so if you can actually do what you can to grow the movement and get more people involved with the Indiegogos and the, or just purchasing it directly, if they can get the print runs up, then the price drops drastically. Part of the reason that like Marvel and DC can make enough money off these comics is if they're putting out 1,000 titles, 100,000 total issues a month, their costs drop to about 3 cents a comic. And so if we could have, that's why breaking that 2,500 copy range is kind of a big deal, because that's when it drops to 60 cents a copy.
Wow. That's very useful information. So what is that specific number where it drops to 60 again, please?
It drops to 60 cents a copy if you're going through a Chinese printer, around 2,500 copies.
Wow.
If you get it up to 8,000, that's when it drops to 33 cents a copy. So
and what is it below 2,500 copies?
After that it starts, you're better off going print on demand, because even though the comics look slightly worse, it's a cheaper process.
I see.
So,
well, that's very interesting. Thank you for that information. I that's something I wanted to know, actually.
So that probably makes sense why Richard Meyer was waiting for Jawbreaker to hit 10,000, because he probably had a condition to lower the prices of the books for printing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is there a way, would there be a way to actually change your campaign model to go on sell numbers and not money? I know Indiegogo is based upon money, but
I know from the math of it, because I'm kind of a math guy, but the reason I believe DNC and EVS chose the $25 range to start is because the average Kickstarter donation across all tier levels is $25. So it was just easy math for them. And so that's one of those things where basically, and also they have a fan base that will buy from them regardless. And so you're able to make a lot more money when you have a passionate fan base and charge that much. But to get more people in on these, the price would eventually have to come down to get, people who want to impulse buy or people who want to give something a try. The price has to come down. And the only way to do that is to get more sales of individual issues rather than the higher price point.
So the limitation right now that you see for Comicsgate then is not having enough people buying in and the price being that high at the present moment.
Yeah, and that's necessary because early adopters, like just with technology, early adopters, they're the ones that pay more to get the item first, but then, later on the better like camera or the better phone comes out cheaper a couple years down the road. And this creating a parallel industry like I think they're trying to do. I think, once the books are all delivered, the Comicsgate artists and publishers are going to have credibility with the audience. And so there'll be more people who come in knowing that they'll get a book out of it.
So then what you're saying, to help the community grow, it would be better for people to buy as many of these little Indiegogo revivals that are going on at a lower price, so that we get more circulation going than putting in like the $100 tier or something. It would be better just to buy the smaller tier across many books and therefore get circulation moving higher. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Yes. And also that it can't be spread out though, like totally diffused, because if everyone ends up with just under 2,500 copies, then you have a bunch of creators who are not making much profit at all because suddenly their books cost, $3.99 to print instead of 60 cents. So
they would have to advertise more like, I can lower the price for these comic books if we meet this number of backers and books sold.
That's an interesting stretch goal.
So that would be saying, so instead of selling, we need to get to $30,000, we need actually 3,000 books to be sold to lower the price.
Well, I think there's a problem with that too, though, because the problem is let's say you're an early adopter and you spend $25 for, a copy of Lone Star, and it's great, and suddenly, but then they do that kind of a stretch goal, and then suddenly for new people coming in, it's $5. You kind of feel gypped, right?
Well,
And
you also have to. Well, you have to also think that you're also getting that signed by Mike Miller. It's the first printing, and
that is a good point. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so you can kind of for future campaigns, not for these current ones, but future campaigns, might be something that the creators could think about, implementing as well.
Yeah, well, and check out the concept that we're dealing with here. You've got whether or not I get to 2,000 or I get it over 2,500, right? And if I do at the price point that I've already set, then when that price drops, that money then goes into my pocket as the creator. So that's the capitalist mindset, right? That's driving that. But at the same time, if they get more backers and get more people, and can get that price dropped, right, they can pass it on to their customer as well. So you're looking at something of how do they balance those two issues? Do they want to keep the money? Do they want to keep growing the base? Are they upfront? I mean, this is very interesting information, which it is. We kind of knew it in the back of our heads. We've talked about it back when Peter Samedi was talking about his program that he had going on. He talks about more volume is cheaper price. So somewhere in the back of our heads, we knew this, and here Jake actually, bears it right on the table. Yeah. That's a very interesting concept to balance. Do you create a base, and are you up front saying, hey, you know what? I don't even want people at this point maybe even donating money, and you don't even have an Indiegogo campaign, but I want to know if you're interested creating a large audience, because I'm going to make base the price of the book based upon the interest that I have in numbers already, right? It's a very, very customer and creator working together, which of course, where can you do that?
Right.
Except right here.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, excellent. Let me come over here. The chat actually is getting very involved over here. So let's bring in some of these questions and points that they're making. Durkin says about $4,000, $10,000 is the price range of launching Indiegogo and what he sees, and I agree. That seems to be the range. The ones that get under that are it's a little more difficult, but there are options. There are options for that, and we could actually talk about those, and maybe Jake could talk about those options. Another one we have here is. Beowulf says, yeah, I don't know how these small IGGs are going to pay for printing. When I looked it up, it was so expensive. Yeah, but I've seen some options. Jake over with the Bull, a different Jake, I actually had found a really good printer that allowed him to do things. Also, we see down here that Sierra Whiskey was mentioning that Print Ninja, which is something John Malin had mentioned. He checked it out, and it's 1,000 run is $2.19 per unit, which is nowhere near as low as that number of over 2,500 that Jake was talking about. So there's a little bit of an idea of a price that Print Ninja is talking about. March Hare says. He's definitely in favor of the early bird tiers. Me too, but maybe it would actually be better to go for us to go for lower stuff, which maybe the individual pros wouldn't appreciate, but it might actually help the community overall. Interesting point. But I mean, as a point, Adrian Tepes says, what is the general thought on doing some web comics related to Comicsgate or releasing the first issue for free? That's a really good idea. I think actually Mike Miller had mentioned this, and I think doing promotion in the web comics world is a good idea, because there are millions of people who read those. And that is, you talk about expanding this community. That's a place that should be expanded in. And I think all these creators should be doing a web comic and pulling those guys over to the actual print. Let's see here. Durkin's talk about $5 for digital, $5 for shipping. That's kind of just bonus money in their pocket. It's true. They should all be doing PDFs, although they seem to be resistant to that because they don't want it being thrown out on the internet for free. And I get that. Which brings me to a question I'd like to ask Mr. Thundaro. Mr. Thundaro, we just heard that Jake and DeWolf and Denali talking about the ideas of these costs and stuff. And they talked about signature, a pro's signature adding value. Now, for me personally, I don't care anything about the signature whatsoever. I just want the book. It means nothing to me. But I think it means a lot to some people. What do you think about this value of the signature? What is your opinion on that?
Well, it also depends on the artist. Obviously, some of the bigger name people and more established people, their signature is going to be worth a lot more. But yeah, it does add value, but that adds value to a really niche group of people. I think a lot of people would just look at it and be like, "Oh, that's cool." Most people are kind of, when you think about it, most art's signed anyway, so it's not really like that big of a deal outside of like specific genres of things.
Yeah.
So it does add some value to some people, to the right people, but to me personally, I think most people, especially right now that are getting in, they understand that it's more of an investment into what this might become later and what seems like it is going to become later. So I would say that while it is important to some people, and it's obviously something that's becoming kind of a market standard for pricing, I don't think it's a requirement going forward, and I don't even think it. I think they could have kept the pricing the same and not included that at all, to be honest.
Yeah.
And
But
people
I
probably would have still.
understand the incentive of it. But yeah, because I guess it's just collectors. Any of the people in the chat or sitting over here in the panel, do you guys really value the signature that much?
Okay, I value because I like to ask people when I do get art or commissions, like, can you just put like to the best Pope or something, or to the best mod or something? Because I value the personal messages more than the signature. I know that's probably weird.
I definitely want a what it do from Zach, because I used to always ask him on stream what it do and always answer with it do what it do. But that's just me. Apart from that, though, if you're not I don't mean to sound like a dick, but if you're not that big, I don't see the point of putting a signature on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I agree.
I think you can either way. I'll accept it.
It really depends on what you're catering to, which kind of market and audience. And the creators right now in Comicsgate and Comics Revival, they were betting on that there is a market for people who are hungry for the kind of, I don't want to say old school, but good storytelling. And, with pathos, not that, entertain us, but makes us think a little bit better about, inspirational stories as well. That these people go through these struggles to overcome them, and, leaves us in a better position than when we were before we read it for that time being. And when they say, who's your investors? We are your investors. We are the investor. We are investing in your idea. We're saying, okay, a lot, it's like big creators like EVS, Artie Bear, Mitch Breitweiser, John Malin. It's like, you're a known quality, so we're investing in you because we know you're going to produce. For the smaller guys, we're taking a risk, but we're trying to believe in your ideas and say, okay, we're going to invest in you to see what you got, because if you got it, we're going to continue rewarding you by continuing to buy your product. And if you don't got it, then that's the only one and only issue you're going to get from us. This is a consumer-led movement.
It is.
Yeah, because like even now, like I said, we don't have a comic yet, and we're still actually just going on that concept that we understand that it's going to be a good comic, and there's a lot of trust involved there. And personally, I'm looking forward to these things hitting, and there being lots of excitement, great reviews, and then finally the bomb explodes. And it's a whole new world after that.
Absolutely.
I have a quick question to get your guys' feedback. But what if the Comicsgate books are just, the stories are not good and the quality isn't that good? What is that going to do to the movement, do you think, in the earlier phase?
Well, it's going to make us look like suckers. That's for sure.
Yeah. But it's also, if we're talking about capitalism, if they're not good, then we're going to say they're not good.
Yep.
And, we're not going to continue purchasing them, and we're going to continue rewarding those comics that are actually good. Right now, we are enthusiastic and give everybody a chance. And that's where we want to lay it out. And if the comics that you're producing, whether it's the writing, whether it's the art, whether it's the way you are presenting the comics is not good to our liking, then we're gonna give you the feedback.
Yeah.
And and if it's a chance that you can improve on the next one, we're going to continue supporting. But if this is where you are, we feel that this is your limitation, then we're not going to support you. That's the rule of the market. That's capitalism. The cream rises to the top, and that's what's missing from the mainstream, is that they're letting everybody in. So there's nothing special, and you're getting crap job anyways. On the other side, I hate to say it. And I'm trying.
Yeah, no, Denali, you're right. We're enthusiastic to support. We want them to be good. We want to be able to give money. But if things come out and they're really bad, which I don't expect, but if that should happen, well, they're just going to lose the support of people. I mean, that's just the way it is. We're not blind. This isn't a religion. This is a desire for better comics. We're here because the comic writing has gone down, the art has gone down, and we want better. If you can't deliver that, then we'll move on to someone who can. I mean, that's just what it is.
Now, Erik,
in the early phase, do you think it would destroy Comicsgate, or do you think even with some books that aren't that good, it'll keep on running?
Yeah, well, there's something you have to consider in there, Erik, and as a creator, and you speak with all the other creators, this is something that you somewhere behind the scenes you guys might want to discuss, because it's not just the fact of whether a book is bad and whether or not we're going to be disappointed and there's backlash. Everyone has an opinion, like they say, everybody has a belly button. I'll use a nice term. Everybody has an opinion, and there's going to be people that come out with reviews on individual books, from Cyberfrog to Lone Star and everything in between, saying I like it and I don't like it. And there's going to be some probably bad words and thrown, because this community has that. It's mired in some bad attitudes with some storm clouds that are always circling, because we're getting it from outside. Nerves are on edge. You've seen it in EVS. You've seen it on other various streams here and there where people kind of will fly off the handle a little bit. And so, you don't want that coming from the fan perspective when they start saying, hey, ouch, I don't like this panel. This wasn't good. I expected something, different in this drawing, or this story here, or the story there. And we've been hyped up on, ooh, I can't give away this spoiler, and this spoiler just flopped at the end. Right. So then you're gonna have the next guy who just said, whoa, this blew me away, and your opinion's crap. So the creators, because we are an interconnected community, first off, on the idea of just coming out with a crap book, we're all going to know it. We're all going to tell each other, and it's going to hurt badly, because there's no other marketing out there that has a customer base that is so interconnected. But also in that interconnectedness, there's going to be some possible fracturing. And I think the creators better, pull on their big boy pants, wade right in there, grab people together and have group hugs or whatever it's going to take to say, hey guys, I appreciate his bad review. I like this guy saying something bad about me. You guys, don't you all like it? Don't you all want to keep the book together and look at volume number 2, and don't infight like that. That's something that is definitely possible. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And Paul, we haven't heard from you in a while. Why don't you go ahead and give us your input on this overall conversation?
Well, speaking of signatures, I have still, from 20 years ago, some original Jake artwork with his signature on it.
Oh God, it is so bad.
Oh,
sweet.
Yes.
No.
And we are going to transition into talking about Jake's Indiegogo as soon as we finish this conversation. So do you have something to add to this conversation, Paul?
No. Oh, well, as far as I was kind of thinking about the how to make it better, and there needs to be some more unity in the whole Comicsgate community, and I'm not sure how we want to go about that. But it seems like we're going from Comicsgate creator to creator as a flavor of the month. I mean, we've moved from Richard to EVS to Mike, excuse me, and I feel like we get burned out on one, and then we move and follow a different one. Yeah. And I feel like there's no unity really forming, and I think there needs to be some kind of more cohesiveness to this movement than there has been.
Well, Paul, I have an
And
answer for you. That is exactly what we're trying to do at FanSpeak. We're trying to create a community anchor, a community center. Yes, people are going to move from one favorite to the next, but we want FanSpeak to be a community center for Comicsgate and the indie revival. That's the whole point. We want people to, to keep fresh by having all the fans come in and give their opinions. That's what we're trying to do here, Paul.
Mhm.
yeah, that's why our title is FanSpeak,
Yeah.
because we want to hear what you guys are saying, because what you're saying needs to get to the creators, and I'm pretty sure it is getting to them, by trickles, and because they do mention it, they do notice that worry, but they also have to focus on the comic book, and they are enjoying their freedom. I think EVS and Mike and others are, have mentioned that, they are enjoying that they're actually working on the project that they are passionate about. For the smaller creators, we want to give advice is like, don't jump in, expecting that you'll be fully funded, within a couple of days without building that community base. Have your pitch ready, make your Indiegogo or your campaign as presentable, give them the sequential art so the readers can feel more confident of what the product you're giving them. And that's something.
Don't expect EVS to make your money for you.
Exactly. And the main policy is we have to move away from EVS being the main promoter, because at some point he won't be able to grow any further. You're going to have to look for those other means to bring in more people, and that's the thing that's been holding us back. Is we need to talk to our friends. We need, outside our circles, we need to talk. If we go to a comic book shop, we need to talk about it. I know there's guys that are there talking about everything. Get into that conversation and talk to them and say, hey, what about this Comicsgate stuff? What do you think about it? From retailer to other customer, get that awareness involved.
Oh, that's a challenge in the Portland area.
Yeah, sure. But that is absolutely a great point, Denali. And therefore, as the English teacher that I am, I'm going to give everybody homework. You know that Move the Needle was something that Richard created, and I think it's been very successful and very useful. It's become its own entity unto itself, actually. But actually, in this conversation, what can we do to make this indie revival better? Then I think we need to gather information. So all of you who are listening and who listen to this in the future, do us a favor. Go out there and talk to your local comic book store. Ask them what is hurting them. Why are sales so low? What are things they think needs to be improved? What are their ideas, their suggestions? You could even ask them about Comicsgate if you think it's safe, because they might just kick you out, like we saw happen to that poor boy a while back that Richard covered. But you don't even have to bring that up. Just ask them directly what's hurting you. Why is the industry so low? Get that information directly from them. Bring it back. Go to the link below. Go to FanSpeak Facebook page and tell us about it. Let us know what you find out. Seriously, it could be useful information that could pass throughout the community and try to improve things. Now, before we move on to the next topic, there's a couple of things from chats I want to pick up real quick. March Harris says he's talking about it. He got something from the biggest signature he got was from Dynamic Forces. That's kind of cool. March here also says on the question of whether or not the books are good or not at this point is a nothing venture, nothing gained at this point. Yeah, I know, absolutely. We're hoping they're good. And I think they are going to be. There'll be a few ones that don't do very well, but I think it's going to be great. But we're here to support. We like the idea. We want new books. We want better stories. Here's our money. Here's our support. Here's our enthusiasm. Here's our energy. You have to keep in mind that how many of us in this community, whether you're moving from one stream to another, how many of us have changed our schedules, have changed our budgets, changed our life to help this community? I mean, that's a serious point, right? and it's something that needs to be kept in mind by the pros, I think, whether they're aware of it or not. But we are here to support them, but if they start coming out with really bad books, as Eric's question had been posed, well then they're going to lose support. Of course they are, but that's just the way things go. But I'm hopeful, and I don't think that's going to happen. Next thing here from Beowulf is the books from the big names need to be good. Yes, they do. The ones from the newer guys, we're giving them a shot because you never know. Exactly. They might be gold. All right. Now, before we move on, guys, does anyone else want to make any comments or have any points about how we can help this indie revival and Comicsgate in general be better before we move on and talk to Jake about his great book?
So, just want to comment about Dorenkin's, comments. Some of the points that I made, and some that he's pointing out that regular fans should just convince people on Comicsgate, and if you like the book, then your excitement for the book should sell them on the books, and that's totally true. And that's what I'm. Maybe I didn't word it really well, but that's what I'm getting to the point is that we need to enter that conversation, bring them into that awareness of Comicsgate, and say, hey, what are the things that you see wrong in it, because we want to bring up this comic revival together as a community, and because we want to pass this legacy on to the next generation. And the only way to do that is to have that conversation. So we need to have that dialogue,
All right.
outside from the normal circles.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Stay connected, hang in there. Keep watching, keep backing, go to IndieCron, keep talking to creators on their streams, Gary Shipman, Erik, John, those, they're not big things or simple things. Like you said, we changed our schedule, keep adding those things in, make it part of the new culture that you're living.
Anybody else? Okay. All right. Thank you very much, guys, for talking about that. And we're going to continue to give our ideas and our supports. And once again, we're not pros. We're not creating anything. We're just the fans. But maybe our opinion might have some value to you. So let's go ahead and move over to our next segment. And of course, that is IndieCron. Now, Pixel Trader has created IndieCron, and it's a wonderful site. It's extremely useful. If you are a pro and not using it, you should be. If you are a fan and you're not using it, you should be, because all the books that are involved in the indie revival, in particular the Comicsgate, are there, and it's a wonderful site. There's a lot of information there, so please go over and check that out. And of course, IndieCron is a sponsor of FanSpeak, and we're very proud of that. And we thank Pixel Trader for his involvement and all his valuable help. Now, we're going to talk about a single Indiegogo today. If we have some time, we might jump to another one. I don't think so. We're going to be talking about one, and the one we're going to be talking about, of course, is Jake's. Now, Jake, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to share your screen with everyone so they can see it. And we're going to start talking about your book here. Now, I'm going to share this with you guys over here, and I've got another screen going on. So what you guys are seeing is not necessarily what the viewers are seeing, but that's all right. So we are going to be talking about this. And guys, why don't you go ahead and tell us, Jake, why don't you go ahead and tell us all about Beatdown Girl and the process and all that kind of stuff. Just go ahead and take it away and let us know, man.
All right. So Beatdown Girl is the story of Abigail Altman, who is she's an augment, which is a group of people in this future society who have been given cybernetic limbs for various reasons. Some are amputees, some are addicted to just getting the power up, and so they just swap out their arms with. And they fight. They basically fight these robot AIs that are called Frakes, which are basically a computer virus that goes out through like this future version of the internet called the CellNet, and basically infect robots, and they cause havoc. And she basically makes her living as a mercenary, trying to capture these programs from the robots and turning them in. But the problem is that these robots start showing signs of human behavior. I didn't realize it at the time, but this game came out called Near Automata that had like kind of like similar things of robots, you know, doing human behavior. And I was like, oh crap, they did it way better. But it's that kind of story. It's that kind of story, and it's just fighting, fun, also risky, you know, teenage perverted humor, because I loved Gen 13 when I was a kid, and and so it's that kind of book for that kind of audience. And you know, I write with a Comicsgate audience in mind. Like I want Zach at DNC to love this book, so that's kind of like my writing. I hope it will be that good. And yeah, I'm just trying to kick ass on it and get it done by December, so I can get it out to people. So
sweet. Well, you certainly made some money on it. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here, and we're going to take a look at the page. So why don't you guys go ahead and ask some questions? We haven't heard from you in a while, Thundara. Why don't you ask a question to Jake and his Beatdown Girl Volume 1 here, man?
All right, let's see. What do I want to ask Jake? Hello, Jake. How are you doing tonight?
I am all right.
So, trying to think of how I want to word my question.
Yeah.
You know what? Come back to me. Come back to me.
All right, no problem. Let's go ahead and let's go over to Paul. Paul, you're our fan guest today. So why don't you go ahead and talk to Jake about his book, man? All right. Well, let's go on to let's move over to DeWolf. DeWolf, I know you have opinions here.
Hey, Jake.
Hey.
You know, first thing that I saw was the price point. Yeah, I'm a consumer, and so I'm looking at some of the things, and you know, I got to scroll down. I see, I read, I hear the story. It sounds really interesting. I look at the artwork. Does the artwork reach out to me? Is it something that I want to keep looking at as I'm reading and stuff? And then when I go back to the price point, I say to myself, hey, it kind of doesn't matter as much. I can be really forgiving when you give me price points like this to work with. So, you know, boom, I want to, you know, quickly, more quickly get to the backing button. That was the first thing that just jumped out at me, and that was awesome.
Part of it is that I know how bad of an artist I am. I know I'm being humble, but also I'm also saying that I am not like an EVS or anyone like them. So I feel like my price point has to be as such, but also I had to do enough, make it high enough that I can make a profit. So that's why there's a price drop, is because I feel like I'm not giving a quality book that I could charge $25 for. You know, I got to give, you know, the price point is because the quality is not going to be as good, because I'm still learning, I'm still growing. So
boom. You know, on FanSpeak, I'm not sure we said this on FanSpeak because we like creators, but we spoke about this before, looking at some of the Indiecron books with a very critical eye. And, you know, that notion actually came up, and for you to be able to say that and price it as such, that shows a lot of maturity. And it's perfect. You know, I've said before too, that depending upon your quality, you know, if you went with newsprint, which is cheaper, you know, I'm willing to buy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also noticed you're already. What was that? What was that?
I like the art though.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. There's some of the art that's good. Matter of fact, something that you were showing us in your stream even looked better than what was on this screen. And, you know, that's an important thing, is to update if you do have something that you did that's particularly good, to throw it up there. I do like the fact that you do have some story. You got some pages up, and I noticed that it already says in demand. So you've already been at this for a while, and you're in the in demand stage, but still allowing us to get in on it.
Yeah, part of that is that you know, I wish I could have come out. I mean, I could come out to you guys right now. You know, I am Comicsgate. I love Comicsgate, but I'm in an awkward situation where I have so many people from different interests supporting me, and also because of you know, where I go to school right now, and there are different schools that, you know, can get you an industry in, but it's one of those things where my life unfortunately affects too many people that could be potential pros, and so I can't just outright do that. So I think part of the reason why I got support, but also part of the reason why I'm probably not doing as high value numbers as other Comicsgate books is I can't officially commit myself to that cause right now, but
Now,
I want to.
yeah, no, you talked about about that before, and it's very sad that that's the case. See, that's one of the things that's unfortunate about what's going on, right? I mean, uh, we just want good comics, but we have been demonized, villainized. You can pick any other grotesque words you would like, especially if it's coming from certain people, and it's made it this situation. You can't even talk about a love of comic books unless you're speaking exactly the right thing. And it's sad that that's your situation, but we respect that, and we're very happy to have you here with us, man. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these perks. Now you have featured here a $10 perk, and that says you have a graphic novel and a theme song. Tell us about that, man.
Music man.
Yes. Well, I am a musician.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Yeah. So, yeah, part of the reason why I'm Paul's age is because my life's been pretty interesting. And after getting done with the military, I'm going to my school to learn comic books and illustration and storyboarding because, you know, the GI Bill, so I get to do it for free. And so that's really cool. But before the military and everything, I worked as a support tech on After Effects for Adobe. And so I learned the entire like video production stuff. And so I made the video, and I also was a musician in high school. And so I wrote the theme song, and I got done with the theme song. I'm like, you know what? This is catchy. I bet if I sell this for $5, no one will buy it, but they'll pay 10 for the book and the song. So I was like,
Yeah.
so it's just like, so yeah, so I've been, that's the first perk that's gone out. Everyone who's supported the campaign has gotten their theme song. And so I'm glad they like it. And yeah, so I'm just, yeah, that's why that perk is there.
Excellent. Well,
You have a theme song that has the other pros beat, by the way.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you got a theme song, which is cool. I think Beatdown Girl deserves a theme song. Now I'm going to go ahead and here and start looking at other perks. I'm just going to talk to Jake about these. If any of you guys have a question, just jump in and ask it, okay?
Jake, one of the comments in the chat said, "Is this going to be an ongoing series, or is this going to be like a one shot?"
This is ongoing because I've tried to convince. I wanted to, you know, give people value, but because of my time constraints as a student, like I have to do illustrations a week for the school, so doing that plus this is kind of hectic. It's 32 pages instead of 48 like the other Indiegogos were doing, and so that's part of it. Oh shoot, what was the question? I got mixed up there. Sorry.
If this was no problem. If this was an ongoing ish series,
Oh yeah, it is an ongoing because I couldn't get the story condensed to 32 pages, so it's going to be in 2 parts. So at the end, so hopefully, probably in about a year and a half or 2, because I'm going to keep doing this because I've started, and so I'm going to have mad people if I don't finish the whole thing. So it's going to probably be 64-page story total. I have another story that I'm more passionate about, but I have to get this one done first. So
Cool. And I do see here in your perks that for $20 you say poster only option for graphic novel purchasers who want to upgrade to the $30 tier, or for hackers who only want the poster. Excellent.
Yep. Yep, that was a way to increase the revenue without having to increase the customer base or have people cancel orders. So I just, yeah.
No, that's cool. And see, the poster is an 11 by 17. Now, isn't that the normal like Bristol board size?
It is. It's also the cheapest size to print a poster for what I needed to do. But the cool thing about that is because one of the stretch goals is we have an inker named Mike Sellers who if you look up Mike Sellers in Comic Vine, he's inked like 148 comics, and he was the main inker on Cable. So
oh wow,
when back in the 90s for like the first 18 issues, I think. So yeah, so it's really cool that he offered to ink something of mine. So that's exciting. It's actually been a big story. He had a major health issue during the summer, and so we weren't sure whether or not he was going to finish, but he actually, fortunately, his illness didn't take away his inking ability, and he's actually done with it. He just has to send me the file. So we're going to start fulfilling the art and the posters really soon. The comics are going to be the last thing to come because I'm still drawing these pages. So.
And I see in the $112 perk, you're actually offering a actual original page.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is cool.
Awesome.
Reasonable.
And
as
how many?
well.
Yeah, how many pages are you still need to complete the book for this part?
I have 8 pages left to go, but I also have about. The problem is my art is getting better as I'm going, so to make it more consistent, I'm gonna have to redraw some pages. So, and also, my colorist is still. I have to keep ahead of my colorist, but I'm telling him to just make it as best as he can, and so it'll definitely be out in December. I said in the description I was going to try to get it by Christmas, but I will have it definitely, I think, out the door by December 31st. So
sweet.
It's good. Yeah.
Durkin here from the chat has a question for you. He says that how many releases are you willing to give a series? Some series are slow starters, so might need an issue or two to really pull you in 100%, meaning that you basically, it sounds like you're planning 2, but maybe you need to do more.
I don't want to be arrogant, but I was an English major in college the first time, and I'm pretty confident in my writing ability. So I think I'll have you guys hooked by page 12 in the book. So I'm not worried about that.
Sweet. There you go. Confidence. That's what I want to hear. All right, let's take a look at this perk. Now, this one is very interesting. Now, for $2,200, which sounds like a lot of money, but what you're offering is not. Please tell us about this perk, man.
Yeah, this is one I saw some successful Kickstarters that did this, and my goal is to become a professional artist, and so I'm like, I tell you what, if you give me my dream, I'll give you yours, and if I can draw a book in a month, this would be what I would expect to make if I was working for a crappy publisher, and so I'm like, guess what? If you want to be a publisher, I will be your artist. So that's what that perk is. So.
That is very, very cool. All right. Well, we have covered all your perks. We've looked at some of your art. We've heard what the story is about. Anybody in the chat or anybody, of course, on the panel would like to ask any more questions of Jake?
Why is it beat down girl and not beat down woman? Are you a sexist?
Oh my.
The answer is it sounds better.
It does. It sounds a lot better.
True. Yeah.
It's okay. You can feel free to ignore Booster. We do.
Yeah.
We constantly.
It's actually very well advised.
Near the bottom of your page here, of your Indiegogo page, I see a little bit of a more, I don't know how to put it, risque looking drawing. What's this?
Yep.
What's the age group this is targeted at?
You know what? I actually made a big mistake in not putting on the book. It's actually targeted for the perverted teenager.
Okay.
So probably someone around between 14 to,
or 60.
14 to 65.
Yeah.
So
we're all feel that way.
Actually, I tell you what, I'll go ahead and I got if you want to switch to my camera, I got the ash can here, and this is the ash can. I did this to sell at New York Comic Con because one of the benefits of my school is they get you a table there for a certain number of hours. But so I was selling this there. But here's that page in general. So this is the joke. All right. The robot has her. This robot, we'll just call him Big Head for now. He has her wrapped up, and this is the joke. I always wanted to be a Japanese tentacle monster. And then she says, I have no idea what that means. So, yeah. So,
right.
So the robot's making a joke that The new generation doesn't even know.
Yeah, exactly.
Womp, womp,
So-
womp. What a boomer.
Wow, yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. I guess I suck.
All right,
but
guys. I have to head out, so I will talk to all of you guys later. Thank you always for letting me come on. It was really nice meeting some of the new guys. See you guys all next week.
All right, thanks
All
a lot,
right.
Pope. We're actually okay. Thank you, Pope. Yeah. Now, anybody else have any other questions for Jake? We are coming to the end of the show, by the way.
I've got one
Jake.
quick one on on a personal level. What was your rating?
my rating? Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that was I was the ET. I was the comms tech ET
Oh yeah,
in
rock
the
on.
Navy. In the Navy, yeah.
Oh, I don't
Well,
have
sir,
any
thank
idea
you.
what that means, but okay.
I was in communications in cryptograph repair. So
Oh, cool. CT. So you're. Oh, I won't. Some of that stuff's classified, so I won't say what. But yeah, cool. Right on.
Excellent. All right. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just wanted to see. You mentioned Gen 13. What were some of your other favorite books, or when you got into comics? Maybe you could just, tell us a little bit about your background and when you got into comics, what your favorite stuff was back then.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. So what started this whole horrible thing that probably will ruin my financial life is when I was 11 years old, I tried drawing the cover of X-Men number 11 by Jim Lee. And it was that one where Wolverine was holding his claws in front of his face. And I actually did a pretty good job of referencing it and copying it. And that's when, all the kids in middle school were like, wow, that's really cool. And so that's when I started drawing. And that's what got me into comics when I met Paul. And yeah, so, I mean, Jim Lee was definitely the start. I think my taste changed as I got older, more refined. Like I had an indie period in the 2000s where the only thing I was reading was Oni books, but but yeah. So yeah, it was probably Jim Lee that started.
Jim Lee, the influencer of influencers. Amazing. All right. Okay. So we will go ahead and wrap this up. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to finish the show. We're going to finish FanSpeak right here. But we're actually going to roll over into Comics News Today. And then after that's done, we're going to take that and I'm going to rip it off here and I'm going to throw it up on the channel as its own separate thing. So please stick around and stay with us. Any of the people on the panel are willing to stay hang out with us as well. But just to let you all know that next Tuesday is Bugbear's Basement, and next week we're going to be talking about the Suicide Squad. In particular, we're going to be talking about issue number 10. So go out, make sure you read number 10 and know exactly what we're going to be talking about. Also, is Suicide Squad in general. If any of you are experts on Suicide Squad and are really lovers of that, get in touch with us. The links are down below. Go to FanSpeak, go to mine directly, go to Twitter, what have you. It's all down there. And let us know, hey, I know about Suicide Squad, and we'll put you on the show in the panel, and you can talk to us about it. We're going to be doing that next Tuesday, so please join us there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, keep in mind, we mentioned about the Arcantis. We have the Comics Titan fundraiser. All that's coming out on our Halloween show. Thank you all very much for joining us here on FanSpeak. And does anybody have any closing comments they would like to make before we move over into the news?
Yep,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? Booster go.
Oh, thank you. If you like seeing people absolutely torture themselves and getting piss-faced while they're at it, me and Popefire are about to do our own little stream, watching Titans and getting drunk. So make sure to head over to Popefire's channel to see that. We'll be going live very soon. It's gonna be bloody torture, let me tell you.
It will be. Enjoy yourselves.
Yep. Hey, we're all in this together, guys. All of us, the creators, and all of us fans, and we're here for each other. Go ahead and spread the news too about what we're trying to do here, which is kind of help the whole movement as a whole. Thank you.
Excellent. Denali?
Like I close out each show, you are accountable to your own reality. Whatever you focus, whatever you bring into your reality, how you want your reality to be, is up to you. So always make it a good one.
The Denali Lama has spoken.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thundaro, you got a closing comment for the folks?
Yeah, mostly just sorry I was late. I was busy. And one thing that I like to say to everybody is anybody listening, anybody out there, if you ever have any trouble and any of us who are in here have the power in a chat or wherever you see us and you need help, don't be afraid to ask for it. You'll always get it, and we'll always be there when we can be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Paul, very happy to have had you on today. Would you have anything you'd like to say to the folks as a parting comment?
No, I just appreciate being on here, even though I haven't said a whole lot. It was fun, and I hope to do it again sometime.
Excellent. Well, thank you. And absolutely, like we say, we're trying to get as many fans to come up and have their voices heard. And we're very happy to meet you. And unfortunately, we couldn't get your camera up showing really well because Paul here has got himself a great setup. If you maybe you just share it for a second, just so people can see it. That would be cool. There you go. Look at that. Yeah, that's a room right there. That is a room. Yes. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much, Paul. All right, now Jake, thanks a lot for coming and joining us here. It was a lot of fun talking to you as a fan, getting involved with what's going on at Comicsgate and the community in general, and we'd love seeing your book. Do you have anything you'd like to say to the folks before we switch over?
Yes. First, I gotta say thank you so much, Paul, for hooking me up with this. I love talking to people who I'm trying to draw these books for, and not just that, but just people who love the same kind of stuff I do. Like people, like it's pretty lonely out here in New Jersey where everyone thinks the same way, and you're just like where what I want to, and so that's great. And then also the other thing is I'm think for this drawing, if it turns out not looking terrible, like if it's actually okay or good, I'd like to donate it to that charity thing that's going on so people can buy books and maybe someone can get it. I don't know. So I'll talk to Paul or James about that. But for this charity thing, I'll donate this original art thing
Go straight to Erik or Kenzie.
Yeah, Erik is
Okay.
right
Oh,
next
cool.
to you in the chat, man. You can absolutely ask
Cool.
him right now. So, Erik,
Cool.
would you like to respond to his offer?
That is super awesome, and we would love to have it, and we will make it part of the raffle prize for sure, even if
Sweet.
it looks bad.
It may have more whiteout than I hope. I'm trying to avoid whiteout as much as possible, but it might have more whiteout than what I usually do. But otherwise, yeah, I'll give it to you.
I like it, man. I think it looks good. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll
Either way,
win
yeah.
I'm just sitting here like, don't mess up. But okay, cool.
You're doing great.
All right. So,
Thanks.
Erik, thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Litovsky. It was really great to talk to you. We see you all over the community. We love your art. You're getting involved. You're helping out with the fundraiser that Pope Fire had an idea to do, and we're just really thankful that you came in and spent some time to sit here and talk with us. So, why don't you go ahead and give the fans a final comment from you, sir?
Shoot, I thank you for that. I just want to say thank you to the fans. I know you guys just because I see your names pop up when I'm drawing, on my live stream, and it's just super encouraging. It wouldn't be so fun if I was sitting there drawing and I had like 0 viewers or, but it's just great to have a conversation to, hear from the fans, see what they like about comics, hear what their favorite characters are, whatever. It just makes it all worth it. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.
All right, and thank you. All right, everybody. Well, that's the show for today.
And one more comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
And if you haven't subscribed to Erik's YouTube channel, do so. I think you're also giving a free art giveaway when you make 250. Am I correct?
Correct. Yes, and I'm almost there. So I need like 30 more subs, and I want to do a art free like live drawing and then give away the artwork. So
there you go. So go subscribe that, moderators. If you can please put a link to Erik's channel, that would be grateful. And
no, it's already
and
help this community grow.
It's been dropped.
My birthday's tomorrow, so help me out.
Yes,
Yeah.
and his birthday is tomorrow. And happy birthday! How old are you going to be? 75?
Correct. No, 36, I believe. I kind of lost track, but somewhere in there.
Okay. He has lost track. Excellent. Yeah, but why don't you just go ahead and tell us what the YouTube channel is here, so people can hear it. They are dropping it in the chat though.
Awesome. Divine Fire Studios is where you'll find me. And I'm doing Inktober right now and got some stuff for the Shadow Century I mentioned. So please check it out. Love to have you guys with me.
Excellent, excellent. And we can't wait to hear about that as well. All right, so this is what we're going to do, guys. We are going to end the show here. And then we're going to, right now, we're going to roll into the comics news today. So you guys stick around, please do. Any of you guys up in the panel, if you have to go, that's fine. But if you want to stick around for the news, please do that too. We'd love to have you.
I have to go just for a little bit, but I should be back in probably like 15 minutes.
No problem.
Yeah, I'll have to go as well, guys. I apologize.
Oh, no, at all. The show is finished. Like I said, I'm going to later on, this whole conversation we're having will be cut completely out. I'm going to leave the show as it was, and then I'll drop the news on as its own video.
Cool. All right, thanks again, guys. Take care.
All right, later, Erik.
Bye.
Aloha.
All right, well, good. So now we're going to go ahead and jump right into the news, and we're going to talk about some interesting things we got going on here. Now, the first little subject we're going to jump into is someone's life has been threatened. And boy, it's just, it's a scary world we live in. It's just a scary world. I'm going to go ahead and put this up in here, the Hangout, so you guys can see it as well. So, Denali, it sounds like the makers of Bordertown have been having some trouble, man. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what's been going on with that?
The writer. So, excuse me. Got to be proper, Denali now. The writer Erik Esquivel, and I butchered it. Got a death threat for Border Towns, a comic book about healing racial tensions. Yeah. And of course he puts all the stereotypical racial things in the book. And we all have our own personal opinions that we'll keep, because this is a clean show. We will not other here.
No, we won't.
But yeah, so the writer of Border Towns got a death threat for his writing. Unsurprisingly.
Did he really? Or did someone say, I don't like it, and that's a death threat? I mean, let's be honest, right?
We'll see.
Let's take a look at the
beautiful
art. Wonderful. Now, do you guys like this art style? Now, if you guys don't know where Bordertown is, DC Comics, and I think they did this intentionally to try to distance themselves from this progressive nonsense that's going on a little bit anyway. I think they did it this way. They came back with the Vertigo. And, of course, Vertigo is being used now that they're dropping all their extreme SJW books on. Now, I'm not saying that DC doesn't have some progressivism going on in it in the main DC, because it does. But the really extreme crazy stuff they dropped over here to Vertigo. And but just so you know what it is. But Bordertown, do you guys like this art? What do you think about it?
No,
not particularly.
It's really,
no.
Yeah, it's really not an art style that
it seems amateur.
Maybe it's grunge. Maybe it's like art grunge, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, some people do like it. I'm not knocking it particularly because people like this style. I personally don't like it, but it is a style, so you know.
I like it because it's a Euro comic style aesthetically, but and there, I mean, there is some good storytelling perspective going on here. I think the main issue I'm having with it really is
what?
I mean, it's not appeal. I mean, it's not appealing in the way that comics normally are, right? Like, so it's one of those things where if this was an indie book, I'd probably think it was pretty great. And, you know, I mean, it is Vertigo, so it's one of those things. Subject matter wise is where I would probably have issues, just because it's probably something that's being used to be divisive. But if there was an indie artist doing this book, like if it was coming out through Oni and it was actually like had an interesting story, I'd think, wow, that's pretty great. But Yeah.
Yeah, so the art is edgy, right? The story is supposed to be edgy, right? And I just don't see how you create a group of people who want to buy this that are, I mean, they're agenda driven, but they're agenda driven from the negative aspect of life instead of positives.
Well, take a look at
Yeah.
this art that's right in front of you. Take a look at the girl sitting down and take a look at her legs. That would be my first thing to point out. We could go through all the rest of it, but I mean, just look at her legs, and that's all you really need to say. It's not right. The proportion isn't right. The perspective isn't right. That's just all I'm saying.
All right. Yeah.
This is a DC comic
Yeah.
book, guys. This is DC Comics, right? So but
Yeah.
let's take a look at this death threat that Erik Esquivel, I guess his name would be Erik Esquivel got. And once again, you'll see that unless there's something I'm missing, no, there isn't. Uh, this is the typical thing. I got a death threat. Go ahead and Denali, once you read this incredible tweet that he's put out, this incredible death threat. Just read the whole thing.
I woke up to a death threats. We're not sending ICE to Comic Con. We're sending exterminators. Receive my copies of Border Town #1 about an hour later. No matter what, there's nothing anybody can do to me that will unmake this comic. And if I die, I'll die with a smile.
All right.
Why
Melodrama.
so serious?
But why so serious? Yeah. But I mean, take a look at it, guys. This is just a statement. There's no evidence. There's no screen capture. And of course, they never do this. All they do is say this thing happened and we're supposed to believe them. For all we know, he got 0 tweets at all. For all we know, this was something that he and his friends cracked up. I mean, this is a problem. They do this all the time, saying something happened, but they don't show any proof whatsoever of it happening. Now, I'm not saying it didn't. Maybe it did. I mean, there are trolls that exist in the world. They are real. But it's ridiculous. If you're going to make a statement like that, then show what has happened. In truth, if you show it, that actually puts a lot more power behind what you're saying. And the fact that you don't show it kind of shows me that either you're lying or it's not exactly as it seems.
That is true. There's not any actual evidence of anything there.
Nothing.
Yep.
And they never do.
Pure exaggeration and embellishment.
Exactly. And but hey, if you guys like it, there's some comments up here. This one says, I really wanted to have an Afro-Latino character front and center who is proud of her identity. Cool. That's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's totally cool. Yeah, I'm Polish, like I mentioned on the other show. So hey, I'll put that out there and wish everybody a nice sausage.
Okay, that was
I just
lovely.
I just wish comic writers would write the book without any regard to what the Mary Sue would think, but
Good point. Mary Sue, toxicity in a bag. Oh, yeah. But yeah, we don't hold the fact that you're Polish. We don't hold that against you, man. It's all right.
There's a school that has comics as part of their Chicano lit class. Chicano
lit class. Wow.
Hey, awesome! Get more comics out there.
Yeah, but this book just came out, and it's already part of a literary class at a university. Really?
But it should be part of because of the messaging, in my opinion.
Yeah, but
I don't want to push at Chicanos or Poles or anybody that hey, you need to constantly be watching out because people are out to get you. That's not what you want to. That's not what you want to tell. You want to tell people, hey, go out there. This is how you get a job. This is how you do stuff. This is how you sell good comics and have a nice life.
And besides, a Chicano-focused comic would probably be cool. Matter of fact, I think I've seen some. Matter of fact, I do believe there's a DC character who is very Chicano in everything he does, and he's actually been in a movie. But who am I? What do I know?
Yeah, it'd be cool. Yep.
Yeah. But all right, let's move on to the next one. And it's too bad Booster's gone because I think Booster would have really appreciated this one.
The verdict on Titans in DC Universe streaming,
which they are doing right now, and they are getting drunk as we speak, guys. Let's just focus on this picture.
Whoa, who is that?
That is Starfire. Didn't you know?
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
I refuse to believe.
I mean, Come on, man. I mean,
Don't you know orange people are bad?
yeah. Well,
I've seen
at least make
the
her orange
comic.
then, right? Let's paint her
I,
orange,
No,
right?
no.
I
Orange
thought that
people
was
are bad. Have you heard?
I thought that was a female version of a fry guy.
Oh,
She has like red
ouch.
flaming hair, maybe.
Yeah, no, it's worse than the fact that this getup looks ridiculous and she looks ridiculous, and this doesn't look anything like Starfire. And not even bringing the subject, they could have used the same girl, but at least paint her skin orange. I mean, Starfire is an alien with orange skin, but it
They put
goes
a
way
camera.
worse than that, guys. The Starfire in this show isn't even Starfire. She's like some demon-born child. It's like what? It's just ridiculous. This Titan show is nothing to do with Teen Titans at all. Maybe that's why they didn't call it Teen Titans, because they're just
If you want a new character, make a new character.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's all we
and
want. You want to call her something else? You want to make a new character? That's cool. We want new characters. Don't change characters.
Beowulf says Street Fire, or Trash Fire. Yeah. The new Raven, she looks all right. I don't know. I haven't seen the show. I'm not gonna do that to myself.
they're biased to Raven.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, so they continue like saying this is really, really grim in the vein of Gotham, and I'm like, I couldn't even stand Gotham because it didn't make sense. They were having Batman villains show up and become villains before Batman even showed up. So you telling me that Batman, when he grows up, is beating up on 60-year-old supervillains?
Yeah, no,
Can you
they
imagine?
did.
I'm
That is a
gonna
good
get
point.
you, Batman. I'm gonna get you, Batman.
I don't know.
Oh,
Something about it
get
is
your
pretty
teeth
cool,
out.
but this is not cool.
Yeah.
No, it's not cool at all.
So, what is
And
the verdict?
what was the verdict? The verdict is
What is the Bleeding Cool's verdict?
it sucks.
Yeah, the
Oh.
streaming app is not user friendly,
Mhm.
and they're making Swamp Thing, and I shudder to think.
Yeah, and
Shudder to think.
I'm worried about it too because I'd like to see a great Swamp Thing, but also the price for the streaming is way overpriced. That was another big issue with the launch. Now I don't know if they've adjusted that. They should, but the whole thing's a
Yeah.
debacle. And we saw as well here in our community,
Yeah,
which I don't know. We can debate whether it was a good action or not. But I
Yeah.
think Mike was the one that got it going on. They were watching the DC show that was announcing their YouTube channel, and also talking about the Titans. And this community went over and just harassed them, I guess.
yeah. The only live stream that they did, because everything else DC Daily, there's no more live streams for it. But yeah, no, and we want to make clear that we're not hating on the actress or the actors on them. We are disliking and criticizing the artistic choices that the producers and showrunners made for this show.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, like Beowulf was saying in the chat there. And what
Mhm.
sucks is the poor actress thinks that the fans are hating on her. They're not. It's the artistic impression of the character, and that they have a problem with in that costume and wig.
Okay, so
So-
Beowulf is now Russian. Awesome.
I was
He was Tyler was just doing Beowulf impression of Craven.
Actually,
Beowulf's
Beowulf
the-
sounds like a South African, not Aussie. Anyway,
what? Hush.
sorry.
What I find interesting is when you did show the actress, is she's a pretty lady.
She
You
is,
know,
yeah.
really, to go ahead and point that out. Yeah, I haven't actually seen the show to see how she acts and whatnot, but yeah, I wouldn't hate on her on any particular role.
Yeah.
Except
I mean,
what
Yeah,
DC's
if you
done.
took it out, if you look at this picture, it's a good picture out of context. You know that
Yeah,
you know if I didn't know she was supposed to be Starfox, I was like, oh, she's pretty good looking
Except for
character right there.
Yeah.
But we know this is Starfire, and this is nothing like Starfire.
No, like I said,
Yeah, I give her
just paint her
props.
skin orange, right? Yeah. Well, anyway,
Yeah, I'm a fan of hers now. The actress, I'm now a fan of hers, not the character. Can I say that?
you can.
Mhm.
And continuing with Titans, this is an interesting little story, Janelli. Why don't you go ahead and get this
Yeah.
out, because I think this affects Mike Miller directly.
Yeah, so they are introducing a super villain group team called the Nuclear Family.
The Nuclear Family.
And they came from like late 70s, 80s, 85, around there, as a super villains with their own unique powers. And what's kind of crazy about it is, with the whole progressive movement, feminist movement, it's kind of, they can make a lot of subtle or overt meanings about a supervillain, an enemy for the Titans to be the Nuclear Family, which is a traditional family.
Well, that's a whole nother underlying thing. True. That's true.
Yeah.
But of course, the reason we're talking about this is because Mike Miller, Blacklist Universe on YouTube, of course, he has Lone Star out, and he's also going to do God's Sword. But he's also, his next project is planning on doing one called Nuclear Family. Now, it has no connection to this per se, because these are actually just a bunch of android robots that were created by Dr. Erik Shanner, it says here. So these are actually a robot type of thing, where his is more about, it's a different aspect. They're living people. But yeah, I don't know that, can Mike actually create a comic book called Nuclear Family now?
Yeah, he just has to put the real in front of it. The real Nuclear Families.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay.
It may be the difference in these being characters versus there being an actual comic book that is based upon the family as a whole versus just these characters.
Now, I wonder, do you think they actually were thinking along the lines of saying that, yeah, we're going to have the Titans fight it against the Nuclear Family because the Nuclear Family is a horrible, evil thing of the past, and we need to destroy it because it's patriarchy? Do you think that actually happened, or are you just overthinking it, Denali?
No, I think it happened because of some of the producers and people behind the scenes with it are the same people that are making all these negative mistake of not looking what makes characters super, but just making them grim dark, because that's what the worldview of progressives is it has to be realistic and it has to be grim dark and not happy, because we can't have happiness in our lives.
Now, before we move on to the next news subject, of course, we still have Jake with us, and we have Paul with us. Two friends that could certainly tag team on us here. Why don't you guys tell us, what do you think about this whole Titan show in general, or the DC Universe TV live streaming network, and the whole thing that's going on with that? You guys have an opinion?
I think go ahead, Jake.
I think it needs to fail.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we basically we just need to vote with our dollars. I mean, they're making bad content to launch a app and a infrastructure that's costing them millions of dollars in the hopes it'll pay off. And if they're going to give us content like this, we just got to be like, no, thank you. And then they're going to fail. It's like, we're not going to watch Star Wars Episode 9. Once we stop going to these things and giving these organizations that have, honestly evil beliefs, when we stop giving them money, they're going to change their tune, or they're not going to be in business. So
absolutely,
that's my opinion, I guess.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah, echo. I feel the same about Titans the way I feel about Star Trek Discovery. They're not going to get my money, and because it's all agenda driven, and and the creative. I mean, I don't know much about Teen Titans in the first place. I've never been a Titans fan. I know more about it now through Pope Fire than I ever have before. But it's definitely not true to the original source material in any way, and I just can't abide by it.
All right, excellent. And March Hare, of course, gives the eternal quote, "Get woke, go broke." Yes, I agree.
Which is also funny, adding to this show that's terrible, is that they introduce Hawk and Dove just to kill Dove off in the same episode.
Really?
which
One,
is kind of hilarious. Yeah.
they just killed
Yeah.
off Dove. I haven't even watched that. Why would they kill Dove right off in the first episode? That doesn't make any sense.
Give Hulk some tragedy.
Now I'm assuming Hawk is still a guy.
Um,
That's a
you're-
fair question.
I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know if Thundara was back. He had some things he had to do. Are you back? You want to give a comment on this Titans before we move on, man?
I'm back, but I don't really have anything to say about that particular thing.
Cool. All right. Well, now this is just a small thing. We don't have to spend much time on this, but go ahead and tell us about this, Denali.
So basically, the new toy lines concept art for Avenger 4 got leaked, and it's kind of spoiled some of the, I guess, characters that are actually going to be appearing in Avenger 4.
Mhm.
And I think one of them is Pepper Potts as Rescue.
Yeah.
And then I think you see Captain Marvel as well, which would not be surprising either.
I'm actually excited about Pepper Potts as Rescue because you got a beautiful woman who's in charge of a major company, who's a
Did
capitalist,
you guys hear that?
kicking ass. You know, and I hope she's a counterpoint to Captain Marvel and shows, you know, all the little girls watching what a real woman is, as opposed to a fake SJW fantasy.
Oh,
Sorry, I didn't mean to get spicy, but I'm busy. I'm drawing and
yeah, no.
I
yeah.
find that interesting considering the actress who's playing her.
Who is playing?
If-
Just Pepper. You talk about Gwyneth Paltrow, right? And her noisiness.
Yes. She's
She looks nice. She looks nice on screen. She's a pro. I don't care.
agree.
All right. So, yeah, Beowulf, could you hear that pop up that came up on me? Could you guys hear that through into the chat?
Yeah, it was loud, they said.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a good and bad. So I will keep that in mind. But yeah, no, this is just a little thing. We don't need to get into it too deep. I actually don't mind Rescue. I think that's a good way to do a spin-off character from, Iron Man, Tony Stark. I
have
don't
been
have a
her.
problem with Rescue at all.
Yeah, you know what it does is it goes back to where he created the suit, and when he told it to go protect her, it did so, right, back in Iron Man 3. And so it's not outside of character. You know, here we've had all this bad things, happen. We're going to be following this big fight, this big war, and for this suit to be protecting her, who knows in what way she actually gets involved in the fighting. I think it's going to be something that's going to be more organic. And if that's the case, then that would be pretty cool because it still shows where Tony is protecting her with more Iron Man technology. It's a good idea.
Yeah, I think it is good. This is once again toy lines leaking stuff. It seems to always be the toy lines that bring stuff out. Sorry about that loud burst, guys. I didn't know it was going to do that, but it does give me answer a question I had. Can I play audio straight off of things through this link that I'm using inside of Streamlabs? And I can. Plans. All right, next. Matthew Broderick to star in Netflix dramedy Daybreak. Now, Denali, tell us a little bit about Daybreak, man. Now, this is a graphic novel, right?
Yeah, it's a post-apocalyptic series, kind of like a little Mad Max with teenagers, where the main characters, gathering, people and try and survive. And Matthew Broderick plays one of the characters, the principal of his school that they find as well. And it's a zombie apocalypse, always.
More zombies. Now, this is a little bit different because there's people in this who actually have superpowers fighting zombies. So it's a bit different. It is a little bit different. And one of the main characters, as it says right here, is a pyromantic character, a 12-year-old, Angelica. But I don't know. I think I like Matthew Broderick. I've always enjoyed his stuff. But, I mean, come on, guys. Have we not had enough zombies? I mean, enough of the zombies.
Well, if you think about what Ethan's theory is, the more zombie it is, the better for the Republicans. If you strive that, I mean.
Oh, come on. You guys must have an opinion on zombie movies and the absolute, just endless line of them.
I've never been a fan.
I think there needs to be a Twilight version of zombies where
Oh.
basically like zombies shine like diamonds and girls like, yeah, that'll be the end of zombies.
There was, and it was with Nicholas. What's his name? Who played Beast? I can't think of his last name. And it
Sweet Christmas.
There was one. So
I gotta see it. I must see this movie. No.
Well,
you must see this.
It's just absolute deluge of zombie stuff. It isn't just limited to comics. Of course, we had the Marvel zombies and movies and TV shows. I do a lot of stuff in the board game world, and they've just had an incredible glut of zombie games come out as well. I'm just sick and tired of zombies.
Yep.
Oh, Warm Bodies, yeah, Dr. Wright, that was a pretty good movie. Anyway, well, we'll see though. I do like Matthew, so now we don't have much time. We want to wrap this up, so I think what we'll do is, of course, there's a little thing here on Chuck Wendig, but he's just a horrible human, so we don't need to worry about him very much. We did have a thing, which I think we'll probably pick this up tomorrow. I think that's going to be a very in-depth conversation, talking about the September sales, which we'll do that on Comics News tomorrow, Denali. So let's end today by talking about this right here. Now, there's several things to unpack with this. One, Zoe Quinn and Robbie Rodriguez's, which is from Vertigo, which we talked about. They're throwing all their progressive stuffs into there, which is a tactic, I guess. Their Goddess Mode #1 first look. Now, we're going to take a look at the art that they have here in a preview, and I hope I don't get a pop-up for sound, so you guys might want to turn down a little bit. Of course, the real problem is the Robbie Rodriguez incident. So while I go ahead and get this up here and ready to go, why don't you guys talk about that whole Robbie Rodriguez incident, please?
Well, he is the artist on his book, and he decided to show his dark hole to the world and to specifically EVS on Twitter and his followers, which caused him to delete his Twitter account and then go underground, and facilitated Cecil to make Robbie Rectum, who shows his face on camera every so often. And we'll leave it at that.
Okay, you could have been more descriptive, but that's all right. DeWolf, you have any comments on Robbie Rodriguez and the fact that he did send pictures of his anus, I will say it, directly to Ethan Van Sciver, and not a single punishment came to the guy. He's still working at DC. There's basically no comment. I do believe that's an illegal thing. That is indecent exposure, is it not? Anybody else?
Well, it's at least it's at the very least that I would say it's sexual harassment. Honestly,
well,
and
I think it's
definitely harassment designed to intimidate, and it's very illegal. Let's just put it that way. If EVS had wanted to, he could have ruined that man's life.
Yeah, and it's just ridiculous. Jake or Paul, you guys, well, we go ahead with Paul. You got any comment on the whole Rodriguez thing?
No, I don't. It's just ridiculous.
Now, no, go ahead.
I will have one. I will have one in private to you guys later, but I can't talk about it.
All right.
Right now.
All right, fine. But Beowulf, yeah, he's had a question here from Sierra Whiskey asking about what is the best #1 to buy right now. Any thoughts? Now, we're going to actually cover those sales, comic book sales, with Comicron tomorrow on Comics News. So we will get into those kind of questions then. But as far as the #1 comic to buy right now, meaning the #1 issue, or maybe he means just the best thing to buy right now. Does anyone have an opinion on that?
Well, I would have to unpack it because we don't really have the time for right now, so we can save it for tomorrow.
We do. We're going to have an in-depth conversation talking about the sales and the comics and everything tomorrow. So we'll certainly cover that tomorrow, Sierra. And I think it'll be a good conversation. So you guys all come back and join us for that. But I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at some of the art. Now, uh, Robbie Rodriguez, even though he's a foul human and that's an incredibly inappropriate thing he did, and I just can't believe DC Comics didn't do something about that. It's just so outrageous to me. And I don't know how they're going to ever explain to anybody why they didn't take action on that. We have seen.
Well, they
Go
don't
ahead.
want to. They don't want to explain anything about it at all. They want to act like it never happened. And since Ethan doesn't apparently want to do anything about it, which I very much disagree with him on, he should have ruined that man's life. That's just what's going to happen. It's going to be swept under the rug, and everybody will forget about it, except for those of us who choose not to.
Yeah, yeah. But the problem is, look at the art. It's actually really good. He's a good artist. I mean, you can't take it away from him. The guy is a really good
Yeah.
artist.
Who?
Robbie Rodriguez. Oh, so sad. Because it is good. He
Right.
is a good artist. I mean, we don't need that, whatever that is. Oh, it's back to the beginning. All right. All right. Well, I'm going to stop sharing this, and we're going to finish out the show just with some general conversation here. So now, guys, let me just transition over here real quick. All right. Now we're back, and I'm going to take myself off so we can just have an open conversation and end this up. Now, obviously, everyone has their own opinion on that, and we'll just leave it where it is, and we'll move on. So we're going to go ahead and finish up the news today, and just want to get any kind of news or information or anything that any of you guys would like to talk about or mention. Just go ahead and go at it. Why don't we go ahead and start with DeWolf?
Next. I got to take a break on that one.
No problem.
Come back.
Finale, anything you want to do before we finish the show? All right. Jake, you got any closing comments for everyone in regards to the news here?
I have one comment, and I think it's another way to help comic book stores without helping these publishers that are putting out bad books.
Awesome.
Is make sure you go buy back issues. Most of these stores have back issues. Buy books that you love that are back issues, because that's not new sales for these publishers, but it is income for these stores, and that'll help keep the stores that you want to support alive until the publishers, get their act together and make stories that we actually want to buy. So,
or these Indiegogos start getting into the stores through Diamond.
Absolutely.
Paul?
Yeah.
I have nothing.
Okay.
No,
Thundaro?
so jumping.
Thundaro?
No, go ahead, Nelly.
Yeah, so I was going to jump into it, and that's what I've been doing and posting up pictures on FanSpeak about, back issues that I've been purchasing from my local comic book shops. Like, if there's a comic book that you want to recommend, to do, then, recommend them, get a back issue. You'll support your local comic book shop, but you'll also get the good story. So they'll know exactly what is selling and what isn't selling. I mean, there's Iceman's still stacked and is now becoming discounted because nobody's moving that.
Oh, yeah.
Out.
It's a great idea. Buy old stuff. Help support the comic book stores that way. Absolutely. Good idea. Yeah.
Yep.
Thundaro?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think one of the other things like you were saying, like somebody was saying, I think it was you, Chester, when the CG books start getting out through Diamond, which obviously EVS said is his plan. That'll be big. He also said the other day he wants to basically start his own crowdfunding site specifically for this, just in case Indiegogo decides to pull the plug on him. I think that's a very good idea.
Yeah.
All of that's going to help. The organization's kind of coming. I think we have certain people who didn't want to organize it have finally accepted that they're going to have to organize it if they want to keep doing this. So I think you're going to see probably with this time next year, what we're doing here, Comicsgate, whatever you want to call it, is going to look a lot different. It's going to look a lot more organized, or at least it's not going to be as disparate as it is now.
Mhm.
That's a good thing. I think that'll help everybody out in the end. It'll help establish and it'll help grow what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. And we are doing our best to be part of that helping. We are offering our advice, we're offering our services, we're offering our understandings, our time, whatever it is. We are absolutely doing that. And we're going to work as hard as we can to make that happen. So, all right, guys, thank you very much. This was a fun show. We did go over and did the comics news here later, so it's longer than we usually like to do. But we had a lot of fun today. We talked art, we talked comic books, we talked Indiegogo. We met a couple of great artists. We had a great guest. Thank you again for coming out, Paul. And we had a lot of fun. So thank you guys. Thank you, chat. And we will see you tomorrow for Comics News Today. Goodbye.
Aloha.